Okay, everybody ready to go?
Let's do it.
Okay, good evening. Welcome to the Mashpee Conservation Commission hearing for Thursday, October 23rd, 2025. We're meeting in the Wacoit Meeting Room at Mashpee Town Hall, 16 Great Neck Road North. We broadcast live on local cable channels 8 and 1072. Stream live on the Town of Mashpee website, and is a hybrid remote meeting. So if you all join me for the first time as Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Great, thank you. All right. Before we get into the hearing, is there any public comment for any issues not related to agenda items? Okay. Seeing none, jump right into the hearing schedule first, and then we'll come back to the minutes and Conservation Committee discussion. Okay, the first item is an RDA for 59 The Hunt Circle, Michael and Janice Weilheimer, proposed cabana and pool reconstruction, representatives Merrill Engineers and Land Surveyors. Good evening.
Good evening. For the record, Tim Santos from Merrill Engineers and Land Surveyors, representing the applicant. The property is located at 59 The Hunt Circle. Resource areas on or within 150 feet of the property are a bordering vegetated wetland to the south, as well as a coastal bank and flood zone. The majority of this property is outside of your jurisdiction. If you look at the plan before you, we do have the 150-foot buffer zone shown. So basically, we're here tonight looking for approval to reconstruct the pool patio deck and expand it by 44 square feet. So we're proposing, which means we need 88 square feet of mitigation plantings, and we're proposing 130 square feet. If the board has any questions, I'd be more than happy to address them.
Okay, thank you. All right, go to commissioners. Sarah?
Thank you, Steve. Hi, good evening. Is the expansion, that 44 square feet, it was unclear when I went to the site. Is it inside the buffer zone, or is it?
It's inside the buffer zone. If you look at the plan that's up on the screen or before you,
Yep.
it's basically those two, it's just right there, and then
Okay.
if you go to the right a little bit, if you go south a little, it's that little triangle right there, so.
Okay, and you're also making the pool house bigger, right?
Yeah, yes, but that's all outside of the
Right, of
jurisdiction.
course, of
But it is staked and shown.
Sure. Okay. So the wetland delineations do put part of the property and part of the project in the jurisdictional areas. Our buffers are larger than the state's.
Yes, so
Which is shown here.
that,
Yep.
which is shown.
So we're removing, the whole project, we're removing and replacing a structure and a pool. We're increasing the lawn coverage. We're increasing impervious surfaces. And we've got stamped plans, a very thorough packet, a landscaping plan, and we've triggered regulatory mitigation. But this is coming in as an RDA. Maybe the staff can educate me on.
Yeah. When this came before us for a recommendation, I recommended an RDA for this because they were redeveloping the pool in a already legal footprint that they had. And their fence line is not encroaching upon it at all. And since it was in the very outer 75-foot buffer, I thought an RDA was appropriate for this case because they're just redesigning it.
Okay. And one final question for the applicant. Would there be a way to keep it in the same footprint without the expansion?
That area currently is lawn. Right now, we're expanding that 44 square feet. So there are going to be an increase of other native plantings and ornamental plantings in that area, so.
Okay, those are all my questions.
Thank you.
Okay, Paul?
Yeah, good evening, Tim.
Good evening.
Could you, for the benefit of commissioners, discuss a little bit about the construction methodology? That the pool is coming out, correct?
So, yes, the pool would come out.
So can you walk me through the process of the machinery, types of machinery that will be there within that, especially the corner where you are within the
So
limits of the buffer zone?
Hi, I'm Bernice Waller from Bernice Waller Landscapes. I'm the landscape architect on the project. Can walk you through some of that with the pool because I've been talking with the pool company. The pool that you're seeing there will be renovated. So it's not a complete reconstruction. There is not any excavation that's happening with the pool renovation. The pool itself has a couple of existing bump outs that you might have seen if you visited that were the old swim outs. Basically what's happening with the pool is it's being squared up and made smaller actually so that they can put an auto cover on the pool for a safety cover for the grandchildren. So there is no additional, it's an existing pool that we're basically making a little bit smaller by taking out the bump outs.
And what kind of machinery is in there in terms of, to do that work?
It's a small, what do you?
I would assume a small little mini, I'm not going to call it an excavator, kind of a dingo,
Bobcat.
backhoe, bobcat track machine.
And the limit of work line on that?
So the limit of work line kind of it's that red line that follows the edge of clearing that's currently there now. If you start at the northeast corner, it comes down around and then wraps back up to the northwest corner.
And we've got all siltation barriers and,
There's detail shown on the plan.
because you're right on the edge of where it drops off.
Correct. There is no excavation there, but there is,
Things wash.
but we did propose one.
Okay, I'm all set, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thanks. Shauna?
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Sandy?
No, no questions.
Okay, Rich?
No question.
No, same here. Any comments, Dan?
No, for this project, I went out to all the sites this week when it was raining. It was fantastic. But I did that because I wanted to make sure of runoff and things. So they did have a hose going into to the buffer zone. You can see it actually right here, going off the bank. So that will be a boilerplate condition if this project does get approved. And if you could please also inform the homeowners of that.
Not a problem.
That just can't happen, that's all. That's it for me.
Okay, thank you. Okay. All right, any more questions? Do we have a motion for 59 Hunt Circle?
Steve?
Oh, thank you. Okay, any comment from the public? Okay, okay, thanks, Paul. Okay, so do we have a motion for 59 Hunt Circle?
Make a motion for negative determination at 59 Hunt Circle, and do you want to condition the hose coming out, or is that something that?
That's boilerplate.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
All right.
already in the order.
That's it.
Okay, the motion made, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made, seconded. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, do a roll call vote. Sarah?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Shauna?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay.
Thank you for your time. Have a great night.
Okay, next item, notice of intent filing, 157 Daniels Island Road. Frank and Christina Varinos, proposed stair, fixed pier, ramp, and floats for Daniels Island Road. Representatives Down Cape Engineering, DP number 433348, and it is continued from 6/26, 7/24, 8/21, and 9/18. All right,
Good evening, Chair Cook and everyone. You'll remember my name is Adam Brodsky. I'm a local environmental lawyer representing Frank and Christine Varinos. The Varinoses asked me to attend the hearing this evening to see if I could be of some assistance with the goal of hopefully closing this public hearing and obtaining an order of conditions approving the project. Dan O'Holler is our registered professional engineer with Down Cape. He's on his way, but Danny Gonzalez from his office is here and is ready to prepare the additional information, to present, the additional information that was submitted to the Conservation Commission, after which I'm just going to briefly speak about some of the issues that I addressed in my October 16th letter. But thank you. Dan?
Good evening again. For the record, Danny Gonzalez, professional engineer with Down Cape Engineering. I was here at the last meeting where we spoke and ended up continuing the hearing. Since then, we've provided a revised plan that shows through flow panels across the entire length of the structure. We also provided a boat size and location, berthing location. It's a 20-foot Sundance boat, very modest. That boat will provide or allow for 1 foot of separation between the prop, basically, and the substrate. Plenty of room. There's no regulation for a distance in Mashpee, but that's what Barnstable, the town over, uses. So that's what we thought was a good solution or proposition for this site. We also provided float stops, which I know there was a lot of talk about the DMF letter. One of their kind of major comments that was discussed was the 2.5 feet separation distance between the bottom of the float and the substrate, and these float stops allow for that 2.5 foot separation distance. We also provided a nice kind of overview plan of the area where you can see 20 plus, I mean, that even more in this area, but those are all licensed structures that have Chapter 91 licenses with the state. Very many, as you can see, so we feel that ours is in uniform or, conforms to basically most of these and is not out of the ordinary for this area. The cumulative effect, it was brought up a lot, and we've tried to address everything in that DMF letter. I think we have such a large site relative to kind of the Pompanesett Bay area. We got 200 feet almost to one pier and over 100 feet to the other. So as far as the impact from this site, I don't know, we feel like it's in line with the rest of the area. So with that, I'll turn it back over.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Danny. And I should note that the clients are also attending the public hearing this evening. I just want to briefly address two concerns, which again, I spoke to more thoroughly in my letter. The first is that the clients feel as if they're being treated differently than their neighbors who have had similar piers and floats approved by this commission. And in my October 16th letter, I provided you with numerous examples of those projects, including piers and floats approved under the current regulations. So certainly some of these structures predated your most recent regulations, but there are a number of them that have been approved since the adoption of regulation. And I also provided case law just reminding the Conservation Commission that it must apply its regulations in a uniform fashion. And second, I understand that there was some suggestion that the Division of Marine Fisheries comment letter constituted evidence or suggested evidence of unacceptable, significant, or cumulative effects under the wetlands bylaw. And I also provided you with, again, numerous examples of DMF letters dealing with pier projects in Mashpee and examples from Yarmouth and Barnstable. You'll notice that all of the letters are similar, and in fact, DMF issues a standard letter which identifies the fishery, where the pier and float project is located, and offering suggested conditions. DMF does not make any findings regarding compliance with wetlands performance standards in its standard form letters. And again, based upon my review of the information submitted to the Conservation Commission, I'm not aware that there's actually any evidence in the record of actually any adverse effects on wetland values that would be generated by this project, let alone an unacceptable, significant, or cumulative effect. If anything, the DMF letter suggests to the contrary. The flounder fishery in this area is healthy, and one can conclude that the construction of all of these other piers in the same waterway has not unacceptably affected the habitat. So again, I don't want to drone on. I've made those points in my letter. I just wanted to provide you with some context. Dan is here.
Yeah, sorry, I got a little traffic issue there, but I was by Zoom, so I did hear Danny's nice brief presentation. And again, I think we're we have almost more frontage than almost anyone else here. We think it's reasonable. I did go and review the last tape, and Paul had a concern, whether, the alignment of the pier. Obviously, the sun sets in the west, rises in the east, and it's mostly south. So north-south piers tend to work a little bit better because, as the sun goes over, you get sun from both sides to maintain the salt marsh. We're fortuitous in this situation because we could easily raise this up as high as that Logan study wanted. If you'd like to go to 8-foot clear, we'd be happy to live with a condition because all we'll do is we'll simply reduce the number of steps here and increase the steps in the jog down. So we could have 8-foot clear under this, over the salt marsh. I know it was a 3-2 split vote before, but if that would swing another vote over in our favor, I would be very happy to provide a full 8-foot because in this particular instance, we're blessed with having a nice high bluff and we could simply raise that up over the salt marsh. So I think between the through flow panels, a modest boat, full 12 inches underneath the prop, the through flow panels, and perhaps even a condition to raise up to 8 feet over the salt marsh. We've addressed the float stops. The DMF letter has been, fully taken care of, and I think most of the issues here. And again, cumulative effects, it's a very nebulous term. A lot of the court cases that I've heard about basically say you have to prove that's the case. And here, where we've got 200 foot and 13-foot separation in an area bristling with piers, I think that one more is reasonable. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Okay, go to the commissioners. Sarah?
Thank you, Steve. I don't think I have any questions.
Okay. Paul?
Rather than a question, I have a comment. I'm glad to hear that there's a possibility to raise this to 8 feet. I do take a little bit of an issue with the fact that the DMF letter, I know they don't make findings. That's common sense. But they do provide information, not only in the letter, but in the footnote references. And in the footnote reference, in this particular letter, footnote 5 was referenced 3 different times. So when I see a footnote referenced that many times, I pay attention to the footnote. So I downloaded a review of habitat impacts from residential docks and recommended best management practices with an emphasis on the northeastern United States. Principal author is John Logan. I would encourage all the commissioners to read that letter. A little late for tonight, but certainly for other docks and piers and floats that come before us. Because most of the information and questions that I had asked the last time were based on footnote 5. So that's a critical piece of information that I didn't hear a lot being discussed, but certainly in our deliberations tonight, I'll be bringing up a couple of issues in that. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Shauna?
Part of it was we didn't know what size that boat was going to be. Has that been sorted out?
Yeah, it would be through the chair, a modest sized vessel. It really only draws about a 6-inch draft, and you've got a short draw prop hanging down from that. So you've got a full foot underneath that prop, and it's a light boat. So you're not talking about a heavy ship that needs a lot of energy to move. And so we feel we're treading very lightly on the environment. Dr. Varinos is happy enough with that, and would stipulate or be happy to have that be a condition that we use his vessel of the smaller size.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Sandy?
No, what's up?
Okay, Rich?
No, I think they've addressed all the concerns, and I know the last meeting we had was the boat size. They've come back with that, so I think they've done a good job with that.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. I think all the concerns have been met, I believe, right, Dan? From the list that we had from last time?
Yeah, and if they're offering to bring it up 8 feet, as Mr. Rojala said, then I think that is absolute. So also keep in mind there is a shellfish mitigation fee. I know that was discussed a couple hearings ago, but is that still acceptable?
It's a healthy fee, and even though we've reduced the float size a little bit since that was calculated, we're happy to continue with that. And I think you could look at that as like an investment. It's like retirement. You provide a lump sum and live off the interest. I think that putting that many breeding shellfish out there will offset the long-term effects as well as the short-term.
Very good. So that's all for me.
All right, any comments from the audience? Okay, seeing none. Do we have a motion for the notice of intent filing for 157 Daniels Island Road?
Make a motion to close an issue at 157 Daniels Island Road with the following conditions, to raise it 8 feet over the salt marsh. Obviously, we've got, talked about the float stops, the flow-through decking, condition the boat size, and the shellfish mitigation fee.
I think that covers all the conditions that we talked about, right? I was going through my list, seeing if there's anything I missed.
Mr. Chairman, there's also a time of year restriction in the DMF letter.
Okay, thank you, Drew.
Adding that into the motion.
Okay, you want to add that in, Rich?
Yeah, add the DMF letter and the time of year when the construction can take place.
Okay, great, thank you. Do we have a second?
Second?
Okay, your motion made and second. Do we have any further discussion from committee members?
Chairman, I have a question. So during the continuance, I was not a full member. Am I voting eligible tonight?
Yes, you were present, correct?
I was present, yes.
Yeah, you were present.
Okay.
Okay.
I would just, in terms of our deliberations, note that I see things a little bit differently. So all the information that was submitted, pointing out all of the other dock projects in the area, to me, just make it clear that we really do have to consider cumulative adverse effects, because it's just peppered with dock after dock. And I do take the DMF letter seriously, and the citations that are included there. Regulation 24 says unacceptable, significant, or cumulative effect upon the wetland values protected in this chapter. And the experts in the state that are required to review these projects say that there are negative impacts that can't be avoided with this project. And so I have a hard time supporting this. I do still have a concern over adverse impacts.
Okay,
So.
thank you. Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to go back to footnote 5 that I had mentioned when we were discussing the project. In that reference, there is information about, and I won't read it word for word, but it talks about 4-foot wide docks typical of Massachusetts. Typical height to avoid any kind of impacts to the underlying salt marsh bed would be 5.7 feet above mean sea level. That would avoid the impacts, and that's with a north-orientated dock. When you get into an east-facing dock, the required height to avoid impacts would increase to approximately 9.7 feet. So when I heard 8 feet tonight, I was kind of happy, because that's really what we're looking at. This dock isn't true north, it's not true east, but it's somewhere in the middle. And if it were going to be 6, I was a definite no vote. I'm happy with the 8. I'm not too happy with the disturbance that's going to take place. I know there's a time of year limitation to this, but it's the word cumulative means that it keeps building. And we saw a graphic tonight, which was kind of eye-opening, with the number of 91 licensed docks. There it is right there on the screen. And all of these docks are in different locations. And I take issue with the fact that somebody would come in and say, well, this commission approved a dock somewhere else of similar characteristics. No two lots are the same, no two docks are the same, no two underlying conditions are the same, no two land under ocean areas are the same. So I have some serious concerns about cumulative effect. It was mentioned in the DMF letter. It was referenced to this particular white paper of John Logan, and I'll let it go at that. But again, before I do give up the floor, I would encourage all the commissioners to go back and look at that DMF letter, look at footnote 5, download that white paper, and give it a good read, because this won't be the last doc that will come before us. And we recently finished up Regulation 27, I say recently, a couple of years ago, but I believe it's one that, after reading this particular white paper, I feel we should go back and take another look at. That's all.
Okay. No, I understand. I did have some concerns with the DMF letter, but then, once these plans have been changed, the height to 8 foot, the
Right.
shellfish mitigation fee, and then when you look at the aerial photos, there's a large separation between this proposed dock and the neighboring docks. So, the whole package together, to me, is done a really well job of taking care of them and lessening the impacts on that area.
Yeah.
Now, if there were several docks closer and there was, docks were only 50 or 75 feet apart and there were several more, I would have, more concern, but there's a, large area between the two.
Right.
So, I'm, that's.
Well, tonight's
I'm happy with that.
presentation is quite a different presentation from the very first one that we heard several months back.
In June?
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Stairs have come out, right?
come a long
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has.
Okay. All right, any other discussion before a vote? Okay, so we have a motion made and seconded. Go to a roll call vote. Sarah?
No.
Okay, Paul?
I'm still going to vote no.
Okay.
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Great. Thank you.
Yeah, we really appreciate your careful consideration and you taking each lot uniquely. It's a hard job you do, and we appreciate your careful consideration. Thank you.
Great.
Good night.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan. Tuck all that stuff away. Okay, next item on the agenda, notice of intent filings, 17 Sandollar Lane, Maria McDonald, Sandollar Lane, nominal Realty Trust, proposed septic system repair. Representatives GeoCape Environmental Consultants, DEP number is 433373. Good evening.
Good evening. Glenn Harrington, GeoCape Environmental Consultants, representing the property at 17 Sandollar Lane and the owners, Sandollar Lane Nominee Realty Trust. The notice of intent before you this evening is for the upgrade of a septic system for an existing 4-bedroom dwelling. The proposed system will be a singular treatment unit to a 1,000-gallon pump chamber to 3 500-gallon chambers with 4 feet of stone all around in the driveway. The resource areas that are associated with the property is an AE 13 flood zone, a coastal bank with buffer zone, and the buffer to the BVW, which is a salt marsh. Presented a lot of information, so I won't rehash all that, so I'll take questions.
Okay, thanks, Glenn. All right, fellow commissioners, Sarah?
Thank you, Steve. Good evening. Could you confirm, I'm sorry if I missed it in the packet, is the septic system being upgraded because it's failed?
Yes.
Okay.
The property is for sale and was inspected, and they actually cameraed the pipe out the back and didn't find anything. They found it was a straight pipe that went to the wetlands,
Yikes, okay.
Yeah.
which
Very
would-
scary.
Not much
which
to
I
talk
had never
about.
run into in my tenure here, so. There was an as-built on file which showed a 1,000-gallon tank to a few flow diffusers, but none of those structures were found.
I see. And so the structure here in the back of the house facing the wetland, is that,
Vicious.
that's old? That's aspirational? And then the one that you're installing is farther away as far as possible from the
That's
resource?
correct.
Okay, great. Those are all my questions. Thank you.
That's so scary.
Paul?
Yeah, just a couple of things. Glenn, do you happen to know the date that that system was installed as a straight pipe?
I think it was probably in the mid to late 60s, because it was it had one of the original chicken scratching tissue paper kind of designs that was done in the New Seabury properties, and it was on New Seabury properties paper. There was supposedly a repair done in 1980, but I don't, again, couldn't find any evidence that there was a repair or an as-built done in 1980. So that was all that was on file, but it didn't lead to anything that we found in the field.
And just as a comment, when I read the end calcs, it said Town of Brewster, and I was a little thrown off when I saw that, so I went to the lot line, lot size, and
Yeah.
I looked at the assessor's card, I said, "Hey, this is the right lot, it's just probably a title heading that didn't get changed."
Well, I used the Brewster nitrogen loading. It's a little more user-friendly, that's all. But it's still based on the Cape Cod Commission technical bulletin.
Thank you. I'm all set, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thanks. Shauna?
There's a big oak and a really nice birch tree where the new septic are going in.
Where the leaching facility
Yeah.
is.
Are they going to need to be taken down or moved?
I've recommended them to come down just because their trunks are gonna be within 10 feet of the leaching, and the roots will get into the system.
So will there be some mitigation to replace those?
We can certainly do that.
Okay. Anything else, Shauna? or-
No, that's it,
Okay.
sorry.
Sandy?
No, you got my question.
Okay, Rich?
I guess other than the fact that it needs to come out ASAP, I guess are they currently living there? Is it being used? And if it isn't, or even either way, are they ready to move forward if this?
Totally seasonal, but they're trying to get the septic system in before the sale. And the sale is pending. This is the last item before they transfer, so they want the system in.
Okay. Anything else, Rich?
No, that's it.
Okay, Glenn, so in the rear of the house, is that the two tanks out behind the house that you're
Yes.
proposing?
Yeah, it's a finished basement, and there's a bathroom in the basement. There's no way to reroute the plumbing out the front, so the tanks have to go in the back.
There's no way at all?
No, there's,
I mean, you can't run the pipe out and,
it's all under the basement slab. All of the piping goes underneath the basement slab. So they're gonna be having to break up a finished floor and the basement slab to turn it any direction. There is room to get by the house and to set the tanks.
because, yeah, you're within 37 and 43 feet of the edge of the wetland, and that whole area is vegetated.
I understand, I wish I had a better way to turn that plumbing, but there really isn't.
You mean you can't come out the side of the house on the south side at all? To avoid excavation in that area?
On the south side, you're even deeper into the hill, you're down 7 or 8 feet trying to get up that hill to bring that around. And you're going deeper into the hill to bring any gravity line out of that basement.
Okay, so the reason that it's coming out the rear, because you said it's a finished basement, is it a bathroom in that basement too?
Yes,
Okay, so can you run the plumbing and pump from that bathroom up to a pipe that's underneath the floor joist and come out the front?
they could put an ejector on that individual bathroom,
Yeah,
I'd expect, but I don't know where that would exit if they did that. It could possibly exit out the northwest side of the house.
yeah. I'd like to see another alternative besides placing those two tanks within 40 feet of the edge of the wetland, and that whole area is all vegetated now. Right now, so that you're gonna have to go down and disturb that whole area, and then there's gonna be a lot of mitigation to plant back in there. So if we can avoid that and have the tanks out in front of the house and use an ejector pump.
Yeah, the way it was described to me, that's gonna be extremely difficult to do.
Because we have your SAS, you're at 19 feet. When you're down at 17 at the foundation on the south side there. And you're
Yep.
15 on the north side. So if the pipe is, coming out even 2 feet below the top of the foundation.
Yeah, it would be exposed. We'd have to fill up against put some fill on that side to do that.
Yeah, because you don't have, do you have a layout of the house at all?
I do.
So, just, if we can be more creative to avoid all that excavation, yeah. I know we're losing 2 trees up at the SAS, which, mitigation can take care of, but there's, a large tree in the rear and all that vegetation within 40 feet of the edge of the wetland.
Yeah.
That's a good call, Steve.
Mr. Chairman, is it the bottom left picture we're looking at, that the pipe would come out of the wall?
Yeah, on that side, yeah.
Okay, so the bathroom is in the front corner, the pipe comes out back here, this is the deck, so the pipe comes out here, the bathroom is in the front.
Oh, okay, well, that's even better, too. And this bathroom's in the front, too, right? So, all 3 bathrooms are in that front corner.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, I can investigate that. I was told that it was not gonna be feasible, so.
Yeah, if all the bathrooms are in that front corner where that 15, well, if you go to the plan where it says 15.85 feet, then, yeah, I think we can, put an ejector in that basement one, and the other 2 can gravity feed down. You can, put your tank in your single air tanks right out in front.
Okay, I can investigate that.
Okay.
So that would eliminate all the disturbance on the bank.
Yeah, yeah, totally, yeah,
Great,
Get them up higher as well. Yeah.
great.
yeah. Then it's just the mitigation, just for the 2 trees that are coming out in the SAS, so that's gonna save a lot, too.
It's a lot of poison ivy, but it looks really happy there,
Yeah.
so.
Would there be a problem with the electrical and the AC units that are in that same area?
Well, if it comes out of the front corner of the house instead of the side corner of the
The
house.
front corner?
Front corner, yeah.
Okay.
Underneath, see where those, well, if you look at that upper picture where those 2
Two
windows
are-
on the
yeah.
left side there, yeah. Because that's, according to the plan that Glenn just showed me, that's where the bathrooms, that's a bathroom window right there, so, yeah.
What about the
Okay,
rest-
I can look at that.
What about the rest of the plumbing in the house, like sinks and kitchen sinks, that kind of stuff? Would that all be rooted in as well?
Yeah. Because all the bathrooms, according to that plan, are all stacked in that area, right? Bathroom, basement, first floor and second floor.
That's how the layout shows it, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if the upstairs can be turned as gravity and just the pump for the basement.
Okay.
Okay, I can look at that. Is this something that you would like to see again? If I can, am I able to do this? Can we approve this at a staff level so this property can move forward, or do you want to see this again?
Okay. Let me poll the commissioners. What do you think, Sarah?
So if that's the only change, is the question whether or not it comes in to you all and you grant administrative approval? Or do we still close and issue the permit, and that's a special condition?
It would be part of the conditioning, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Condition to
If
put
that's
that-
the only change, yes, but if we're not able to do that, I don't want to issue a permit tonight. Do you know what I mean?
Okay,
But we would go
But-
back to,
Would you have to start over? If
So there's
just go back to his original
what there is
design.
today, right?
Yeah.
Which we could vote on tonight and say yea or nay,
Right?
right? This,
You could also close the public hearing and not issue as another possible alternative.
okay. And then we just vote on it at the next hearing? November 13th? meeting?
If this new plan doesn't
you know,
pan out, if we approve the old one, could the vegetation that's going to have to come out, can vegetation be replanted? So that, see what I'm saying?
Oh, it would have
we
to,
have to have
have
mitigation,
to be.
yeah.
Right, but I mean, where the tank actually is.
sure.
Yeah. So,
I mean, we got to get the pipe out and into something that's going to hold
Okay,
that.
so either way, if we close it, we wouldn't vote on it until November 13th. So would you want a continuance to November 13th, and we'll just?
That'd be fine. At that point, if I have to, I can, if the plumbing can be turned, I'll have a new plan on a revision to you for the next meeting.
Okay. Yeah, I think either way, we're going to vote on the 13th, whether we close it now or, Yeah.
Cleaner just to continue it.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Let him do his homework and
Yeah.
come back and vote on it.
okay.
How long of a process, Glenn, would it take to figure out injectors?
I just got to get a plumber in there to see. The septic inspector who went into the house has got a lot of years of doing construction, so took his word for it that it was going to be extremely difficult, if not impossible, to do that. So I will go in and double check again.
Okay, yeah, just based on that layout.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound that difficult, but,
And if we can't do that, it sounds like maybe we'd like to see a landscaping plan for revegetating that area.
yeah.
But,
So, yeah, that'd be an option. So if you come back to staff and say, we can't
Yeah.
move forward with what we're asking for,
Yeah,
and then we're going to vote on this current plan, then we're going to need a planting mitigation plan
okay.
for the 13th, so. But,
because cost might be an issue too.
sure.
Wonder how many more there are like this out there.
We'll find out. Stick around, we'll find out.
There's at least one more.
Huh?
I bet there's at least one more somewhere.
okay, so requesting continuance to November 13th.
Yes, I'd like to do that.
Any other comments from anybody in the audience? None. Okay, any comments from you, Dan or Drew, before we?
No, I think that's a good course of action to take for this, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, thank you. All right, do we have a motion to continue 17 Sand Dollar Lane to November 13th?
So moved.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made, second. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, roll call vote. Sarah?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Shauna?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you.
Good luck. Great to see that changed.
Nice call, Steve.
Okay, next item, notice intent filing, 367 Mashpee Neck Road, Gary and Linda Oldham. Proposed raise and rebuild single-family dwelling with town sewer connection. Representative Cape and Islands Engineering, Inc., DEP number 433372. And there is a continuation request on this one.
Yes, they received the agent comments today, and they asked for a continuance to November 13th to address the agent comments as well as look into some other stuff for the property.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right, can we make recommendations to provide additional information?
They have no representation here. They don't have any
Okay.
representation.
so-
Maybe we
okay.
send those to you via email and they can get passed along to the
Yep, I can
applicant?
definitely
Is that
relay
right?
that to them. That's not a
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, so continuance, do you have a motion to continue 367 Mashpee Neck Road to to November 13th.
So moved, Mr.
Okay,
Chair.
do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made second. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, there's apparently some things that have to be added to this, and I know when I looked at it, I spent quite a bit of time with it today, there was no information in terms of the Morris data viewer and the flood exceedance levels for 2030, 2050. I would like to see that kind of information included with this proposal as well.
Okay, so,
Any of the proposals coming forward now with the new Regulation 25, it's incumbent upon engineers to provide that information to the commission.
okay. So, how do we want to handle this? Dan and
We
Drew?
can make that known to the applicant.
Okay,
That'd be great.
okay, yeah, because that, some of the things that I looked at is, there's no landscape plan, there's no building plans.
Yeah, there was,
Are there retaining walls? So do you want to just do a whole list to provide back to the applicant for questions that we have, or?
Yeah, shoot.
Okay, so you got mine, I had landscape plan, building plans, and if there are any retaining walls. Paul wanted the Morris data viewer. Do you have anything else, Paul?
I don't think so. The square
Oh,
foot
written,
footage.
written waiver request here was one of my comments.
Okay,
Yeah, I didn't notice the square footage increase. What was it,
157?
150 some odd square feet? Which isn't a lot, but it's still an increase, so that
That still
have to
triggers the
be
waiver.
addressed in 25 as well.
Well, there's a portion of the property on the coastal bank, in the coastal bank.
okay.
And I had a recommendation about the secondary driveway and the necessity to keep that. It could be a good area for mitigation. So that was one of my comments on the proposal, was the secondary driveway.
Right.
Okay. How about you, Sarah? Do you have any comments that you wanted the applicant to address?
No, I just more questions. I'll look to see what comes in for the continuance.
Okay,
And if what's been addressed, I'm satisfied with. Thank you.
okay. Shauna?
The paved driveway being gone would be, I think, a big help there, because it's talking about repaving there. And then I think, and Drew has mentioned this as well, like it's talking about going on town sewer, but I don't think there's a date when that's gonna happen, and what do we do in the meantime, right?
Yeah, that was Drew, one of Drew's comments, yeah.
So, and then, I was reading it thinking was hooked up on town sewer, thinking, oh geez, we only got 2% nitrogen improvement with a home on town sewer, and I'm like, that can't be right. And you drive out there, I'm like, this road hasn't even been chopped up yet to bring the sewer line in, so.
Okay, thank you. Sandy?
Nope, all set.
Rich?
No, I think Shauna kind of covered what I was, as far as the sewer, and then, kind of who knows what shape the septic system's in as well, as far as, so I think that needs to be addressed as well.
Okay.
So can I, I'm sorry.
Sure, yeah, go ahead, Paul.
I'm looking at the Board of Health's comments on this particular proposal, and they say that if built before the sewer arrives, then the new septic construction must meet full compliance with Board of Health IA septic systems regulation. I think we probably should let the client know that
Yeah.
we have no idea what date this is, so they should propose the IA just to be safe.
Yeah, that was in Drew's comments?
Yeah, they won't be able to take occupancy, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, I missed that.
Okay, all right.
I'm good.
Okay, great, thanks. All right, so, Lost
Did we
track.
take a vote? I don't think we did.
do we had a motion and a
We had a
second?
motion, but I don't think we voted.
Okay,
Yeah,
All
we're
right.
just discussing.
okay, so we'll do a roll call vote. Sarah?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Shauna?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Thanks, Sandy.
What was the date on that one? 11/13?
11:13.
13.
Is that the only meeting in November?
Yep.
Okay.
November and December, we have one meeting each.
Okay.
Okay, Next item, notice of intent filing, 252 Short Drive, Concert, New Seabright. Proposed replacement and redesign of Pompanesett Inn, Sperry Tent, and associated elevated deck. Representatives BSC Group, DP number 433371.
She is online.
Online. Okay, Hannah's online. Hi, Hannah.
Good evening, everyone. For the record, Hannah Raditz, wetland scientist with BSC. I'll just go over briefly what this project is, and then I will use the revised scope letter to guide the meeting tonight so we can discuss all of the changes that were made since the previous hearing, if that's all right with the commission.
Great.
All right. So again, this is a replacement for the existing tent structure that is at the Pompanesett Inn. Existing structure out there is a foundation with a concrete base within coastal dune, as well as some walkways, ramps, stairways, and other attachment features to that tent. What's proposed in front of you with this project is the replacement of this tent with an elevated structure to support the tent, as well as elevated access walkways to either side of the tent, to the southwest and to the northeast. The proposed tent and supports, we go into greater detail in the submitted materials, but in addition to the redo of the tent, we have various replication, restoration, and mitigation areas within the coastal dune and land subject to coastal storm flowage. Some of this comes from the reduction of structures within the dune and land subject to coastal storm flowage, and additional planting areas to be planted with beach grass and dune grass are proposed around the area following the construction of the replacement tent and walkways. So as we discussed in our last hearing, there was a number of questions and requests from the commission. So I'll just go through our revised scope letter now to tick off each of these things that have been provided since the last hearing. First was to provide an expanded description of the construction methodology. We did that in the revised scope letter. We also provided a construction plan with construction access, laydown area, limit of work, sediment controls, and some additional notes related to the construction procedure. Also included within the revised waiver is additional BMPs and construction methodology that are relevant to the replacement of the tent, construction work, as well as soil boring, which we'll get to additionally in this list. So we provided the constructional plan. The structural plan with support piling location, anticipated materials, as well as cross sections, that was also provided in this application. Limit of work, as I mentioned, that was provided. It will be trenched in silt fence with staked straw bales to protect the entire limit of work, as well as to surround the construction access and the temporary laydown staging area within upland areas. We made some additional notes regarding the mitigation and restoration plantings within the dune. We have changed the mitigation area as it's been expanded significantly around the tent. So instead of being 3 separate parcels, now it's 1 continuous. However, we did include plentiful notes so that it's known that beach grass and dune grass will be interspersed throughout this continuous area. We also added a note in the latest plan update, which you all received today, regarding planting beach grass under the invasive species removal area. That's the area of autumn olive that's located existing right next to the tent. It was just difficult to show the hatching, so we have a note to show that once those shrubs are removed, they'll be replaced with grass. We also confirmed that there will be no lattice, skirting, or breakaway panels around any of the elevated structure. The tent will now just have grass planted right up against the elevated structure, which should provide some protection around the edge and expand the dune restoration. So moving on to things that weren't necessarily requested but were part of this revised application. We have the removal of a narrow wooden walkway and crushed shell walkway that's to the southeast. That was originally intended as it's at grade, along with the existing tent is also at grade. But since the proposed tent will not be at grade, there's no need for it. So those structures will be removed and replaced with clean sand fill as needed. In addition, the wooden fencing around the tent and the walkway areas, those are no longer needed and will also get in the way of construction. So those will be removed and will not be replaced. The next matter is a recent change. I apologize for the last minute submission, but it turns out the applicant does not need the wooden stairway connecting to the elevated walkway to the northeast of the tent. It was proposed as a potential connection to the existing shell pathway that leads off the site, but they no longer need it, so that's a reduction in 53 square feet of impacts to that inner buffer zone to coastal bank and coastal dune. So that latest plan today reflects that change, as well as a change in the sediment and erosion controls, which were now tighter to the walkway. Another change, which is relating to the emergency egress that was brought up at the end of last meeting. A 222 roughly square foot concrete ramp will be added to the end of the proposed elevated walkway. This will allow it to be ADA compliant and complete the emergency egress, which in our last plan was not complete. Finally, to the matter of soil borings, this wasn't included in the original notice of intent application. However, as it's relevant to the design of the project, namely the support structures for the elevated decks, walkways, as well as the tent structure, we are now proposing 3 soil boring locations around the property. These are within the existing crushed shell area and 2 within the coastal dune. These soil borings are temporary in nature impact. They're roughly 4 to 6 inches wide, so they'll be about the size of a softball. These will be facilitated via the use of a tracked drill rig, one that's pretty small and maneuverable. It'll use that crushed shell access that'll also be used for construction access, and within the dune they'll be using tracked pads, which will eliminate impacts to the dune to the greatest extent practicable. There are some shrubs around a couple of the boring areas, but the intent will be to trim them back as far as necessary to install these temporary track pads and get access to the structures. However, the root mass will not be disturbed, and it is the intention that if these shrubs do not grow back within the 3-year monitoring period that we're anticipating for this project, these shrubs will be replaced with native shrubs that are already growing within the dune. This will be beach plum or northern bayberry. So all that being said, we have various revisions to the impact tables. So even with these additions, many of them are temporary, we still have no increases to the resource areas themselves, being land subject to coastal storm flowage, coastal bank, or coastal dune. We only have minor increases to the inner buffer zone of coastal bank, coastal dune, and land subject to coastal storm flowage. That last one being the addition of the ramp that provides the ADA access to the walkway. So that is the list of items that we've separated out for you in this revised letter. As I mentioned, the waiver was updated and expanded with these activities, and specifically the BMPs and construction methodology in both of these forms was expanded with a lot more detail about the construction access and methodology that will be used during all phases of construction. So that speaks to the majority of the changes within this project. I just want to summarize before I turn over the floor the significant betterment that this project proposes to the site. As I mentioned earlier, there's currently 4,000 plus square feet of concrete and existing structure within the dune and land subject to coastal storm flowage. This will all be removed and replaced with the elevated walkways. We do have sufficient area to reach the tent with the construction equipment that's required for the demolition of the tent and the rebuild of the tent as well. It's the intention that we'll be using that crushed shell walkway and only having to trim some canopy limbs potentially and some shrubs along the way. And a timber mat pad can provide a stable access and work area for the crane to be doing the majority of the demolition along that northeastern side. In addition, we're proposing 4,723 square feet of mitigation and restoration within coastal dune and land subject to coastal storm flowage. We chose areas that are currently very sparsely vegetated and will benefit from the introduction or reintroduction of dune grass and beach grass, as a lot of this dune is currently occupied with rugosa rose, which is non-native. These areas, as we mentioned on the plan, will be adjusted following construction so that they reflect the areas that are most in need of planting. And we will coordinate with conservation staff when that happens in case revised plans are needed. All structures, again, will be elevated and will use the existing footprint of structures as well as impacted areas so that we won't be impacting any naturally vegetated areas more than is necessary to temporary access for construction. All in all, we're constructing this project in the smallest footprint that we possibly can to also provide all of the necessary features for this tent and the access, and have been putting a lot of effort into making sure that these structures are as close to the building and within impacted areas as possible to also provide a greater area of restoration within the dune. So with that, I will turn over to the commission. Any
Okay.
questions?
All right, thank you, Hannah. All right, go to commissioners. Sarah?
Thank you, Steve. Hi, Hannah. Good evening, Brian. Thank you for all of the great improvements and the very thorough waiver request. Hannah, it was excellent. We're eager to keep working with you to further improve the project to enhance, as it's so close to so many resource areas. So I just have a couple of questions. I think you answered one of them. So the concrete landing on the proposed stairwell, we're done with, right? That's no longer, okay.
Yep, so that accessory stairway on the side, we won't be needing
We
that
don't need-
stairway or the
okay.
concrete pad to support it.
Great. And for the, to ensure the elevated walkway is now ADA compliant out to the parking area and serves as another emergency point of egress, I wonder if you all have explored any alternatives to the concrete? If we could use like an aluminum ramp with footings instead? Or a wooden ramp that just goes, slopes down to grade if concrete is absolutely necessary? We've got, at my home, we have an expanded metal wheelchair ramp. So I know there are a lot of different ways to do it that would allow water to pass in and around.
Hi, Sarah. For the
Hey, Brian.
record, Brian Gation, professional engineer at BSC Group.
Great.
We feel strongly that given the amount of traffic that this tent is going to receive, that concrete is definitely the most durable material and more appropriate for this project.
Okay. And in terms of the soil borings, so I do have just a couple of questions. This is new from the last submission. And my understanding is this is to inform project elements that we're being asked to approve tonight. But I'm also seeing that all of the materials are saying that this proposed elevated tent is going to remain in the footprint of the existing tent. So I wonder if you could educate me as to why 2 of the 3 boreholes are in the dune and not in the footprint where we're actually going to be putting the footings. Like, do we actually have to disturb the dune to get this data, or is there another way to do it? And again, I know nothing about these machines or this technology, so.
Yep, so I do have an interesting insight with this project. So I also support a lot of utility projects where they have to do such soil borings on a larger scale for the construction of large utility structures within right-of-ways. So these soil borings are often conducted in roughly the area where the foundation will be built. As long as they're within, say 10 to 15, 20 feet, they're usually acceptable for the installation of the foundation nearby. So given that there's an existing foundation, concrete foundation and structures in the way, this is their best bet to fully understand the needs for the structure foundation design. Currently, the design of the footings, it's my understanding, is based on the assumption that we are within coastal dune and it's nothing but sand. So this is just to finalize the design. If they do end up finding that the way they designed it currently is not sufficient, then we would certainly revise the plans and speak with Conservation. But based on our knowledge of the site and the design currently, there should be no significant changes to the proposed foundations and pilings to support these structures.
Understood. Thank you. Thank you. And I think my vantage is trying to minimize disturbance as much as possible, noting that there's so much of this that is happening in resource areas and in the 0 to 75-foot buffers. And I do see in the narrative here that there's a reference to the Wetlands Protection Act and regulations that cover soil boring for planning and design activities in buffer zones being an exempt activity. And I would just ask the commissioners and maybe the staff to educate me on if we have anything in our local regulations that addresses this. I wasn't able to find anything, but.
Not that I know of, no.
Not that we know of. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think there are some great improvements. I do think that in terms of disturbances to the dunes, we seem like we're moving a little bit in the wrong direction in terms of the additional impacts to the resource areas. So I would strongly encourage the applicant to consider any way, again, that we can minimize these impacts. So I understand that concrete is durable. It's not the only way to do things. There are a lot of waterfront properties that utilize wooden ramps that would be more appropriate to address the resource concerns here. And since we're moving all of the structures and the construction anyway, could we not just wait and use that developed footprint for these soil borings instead of putting them in areas of the dunes that are not yet disturbed, even though they're very close, adjacent to disturbed areas. But those are the questions I have, and with that, I'll yield back to the commission.
Okay, thanks. Sarah? Paul?
As you know, I was absent for the last hearing, but I did watch the video and I submitted the required Mullen paperwork. But for now, I'm going to default to my fellow commissioners, and I may have something when you come around again.
Okay, sounds good.
you.
Shauna?
I don't have any questions.
Okay, Sandy?
I do, and perhaps I missed it. The current concrete slab that's there, that's the flooring for the current tent, that's coming out, correct? Yes. And
Completely, yes.
yeah, and could you tell me how they're going to do that? Are they bringing in equipment to break it up, or?
Most likely they'll be using an excavator with a drill head attachment, so they can chip away at it from the work pad. What's most likely going to be the work pad area, if I just bring up the plans or Dan can, I can share my screen as well.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find where is the work pad area on this plan.
I'm not too sure how to share screens, I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. Yep, if you just bring up the latest plan that we submitted today, we can just sort of indicate where it will be.
I do have it up now if you can't see it, I'm not sure.
Okay, great. Yeah, so the area that will likely be used for this is an area that has a cross hatching. It's near temporary boring 1, and then that cross hatch for the remove and dispose of existing deck, and then the turning of that pathway that will be removed, that's existing crushed shell. That's an area large enough to construct a significant sized timber matting staging area. This is used for a lot of utility projects as well, and sites that need a stable footing for a large piece of construction equipment, such as an excavator or a or a crane. So the idea would be to build a timber mat pad within this area to protect the sediment and be able to move that around within that area. They would also, as the structure is able to come down, move that within disturbed areas within that footprint of the existing tent to take away pieces of the materials as they go. And this would be then trucked off the site or kept in roll-off containers. So that's the area that they'll be confined within when they're using this equipment.
Okay, thank you.
Are you saying, Hannah, on the northeast side where that proposed stair with the
Yeah, the
concrete
northeast.
landing is?
Mhm.
Okay, so what's, you're showing hay bales there. What's the distance from the corner of that building to the hay bales? Because it doesn't seem that wide to fit an excavator in there with a drill head.
As long as it's about 16 feet wide, that's sufficient.
Doesn't look that way on scale off here on the plan. I don't think it's 16 feet. You know, and if you're gonna say you're gonna bring equipment in there, we should designate that area as, you know, whatever the width for equipment and have it marked on the plan. I'm just piggybacking on Sandy's question because there's nothing here on this plan stating, you know, a width of a work area to bring equipment in. And it doesn't seem like 16 feet from that corner of the building to a hay bale there.
If I may, so that area, you know, that hay bale line is gonna be staked out in the field. I can tell you that it's approximately 15, 16 feet, like Hannah stated. That was our 16 feet was the setback that we started with. And I can't tell you exactly what it is at that corner. I can look it up, but it's more than sufficient to achieve what we needed to do for construction access. It's also labeled on the construction plan. That area is labeled as construction access. Is made clear on that.
Okay. Which plan is that? Is it?
The one that's labeled construction access.
It would be in the compiled package.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
construction access, yeah, but it does need to be updated to remove the proposed stairway. Not
Okay.
that that's relevant to construction, but it's just shown on there and will need to be removed.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, Sandy?
No, thank you.
Okay, Rich?
Yeah, I guess it's just more like a informational education, but the drill holes, the boreholes, do they dictate when you get the results back of the progress or moving forward with the construction?
Yep, so with soil borings, typically they're able to gather that information the day of. With these being only 3 of them, I think the lengthiest part of this project will probably be the establishment of the access route to the 2 soil borings within the dune. So for this, they'll be just laying down track pads and doing some trimming of vegetation around temporary boring number 3, which has a dense patch of rugosa rose. So on the day of, they will be using the drill rig, which I believe we included a figure within the revised materials to show you basically what it looks like. It'll walk down on those track pads to the areas, drill a hole that's about 4 to 6 inches wide to 10 feet deep or more as needed, but that's typically the estimate. And they'll be bringing up those corings of the sediment to document, and with that data, they're able to finalize the design. I hope that answered the
Yep.
question.
Thank you very much.
Okay, all set, Rich?
Yes.
Okay, Hannah, one of the questions that I had last time was a piling plan, number of pilings and so forth, and a building plan. So I just see there's a floor plan here, but there's no number of pilings. And then looking at the cross-section, I'm not seeing pilings, I'm seeing a post with concrete footings on, like, stair details. So, you know, what is the correct information for this?
They're shown on sheet A101, which is labeled floor plan. But if you look around the inside perimeter, you'll see the location of all the borings, or excuse me, of all the supports, items.
Okay, so I see little boxes on the outside, but where you have center lines crossing each other, is that where the piling's gonna be?
They're on the inside. They're
So,
on the inside. The outside is just labels, letters representing the columns and numbers on the bottom. But on the inside, you can see the column structures.
all the plan shows are just lines crisscrossing, and so at each line that crosses, is that where a post is gonna be?
No, no, if you zoom in, if you can zoom in on the tent or any portion of it, you see the dashed lines, which as you mentioned, those are just the rows and columns. But at the end of those, you'll see right there.
So there's nothing in the
If
middle.
you look all around the inside, just around the inside of the structures, they're shown.
Okay, so you're just gonna have perimeter 6x6 wood posts on concrete piers?
Correct, as shown on the plan.
So these are all like steel beams going across from post to post?
No,
So how is this floor system being supported? And then there's nothing on the walkway heading off towards the south, or the walkway towards on the northeast corner either?
they're all shown on the plan. I don't know how else to describe it to you. There's 3 sheets that were included as part of the structural design that we submitted.
Right, so you have this plan that really doesn't show all the pilings, and you have a couple of cross-sections with, at the end of stair details, so it's not what, it's not what we requested.
That's a typical detail on the plan A101. It shows the location of every one of those.
Okay, so, and then the other question I had,
Do you see that now?
it's just showing these, it's showing posts on the perimeter, right?
Correct. There's a
Okay.
couple on in the interior, but yes, that's them. That's the plan that you asked for.
If I may,
Well,
this is
it's-
Megan. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead, Megan.
Yes, Megan Brady. I'm with S3 Design, we're the architecture design firm. I'm the senior product designer. So although we aren't showing the actual footings themselves on this architectural plan, as you had mentioned, at each cross-section location, there would be a post and a footing supporting the structure below the deck. The posts that you're seeing on the floor plan represent the tent structure that is sitting on top of the deck itself. And there was a corresponding post and footer below each of those as well.
Okay, so how come you didn't provide the plan that we requested for number of pylons?
We're happy to provide that. I apologize for that not being included in the submission.
Yeah, because this commission doesn't know how many pylons you're putting into this dune. And then the other concern I raised last time was, this is a velocity zone elevation 14, and the grades at elevation 8 and 9. So how are you going to prevent when you have wave action in there for these posts to not get washed away from scour and wave action? I don't even know if your plan meets building code compliance for velocity zone. I don't even know if it meets our requirements for a velocity zone.
It does.
It's an 18-inch concrete.
Well, there's no dimensions on this here. This says,
On the
Stairs,
footers.
they're the same as the stairs, correct?
yeah, this cross-section just shows a footing. There's no depth to it. There's no correlation to flood zone. It says a 6x6 supporting post with, looks like a wood girder.
On an 18-inch diameter concrete footing.
Right.
Right.
As for the depth of the footing, I believe the results of the borings would determine that. Although I'm not a structural engineer and can't speak on that exactly, that is my understanding, is that the borings would determine the depth of the foundation footings at each of the posts.
And they're shown to the minimum frost depth right now.
Right, but what about scour? You have elevation 8 dune, you have a velocity flood zone of 14. You have wave action that's 6 feet above the dune level.
It's FEMA compliant, sir. It's a deck, and it's FEMA compliant. I mean, I stated that last time and reiterated it.
So you haven't addressed the scour part of it and the depth of the footings.
I believe Megan just mentioned to you that the borings are gonna determine the overall depth of the footings, but that's why the borings are needed for the design. That's why we're requesting permission to conduct the borings, and what's shown is the minimum depth that they would be down to, which would be below the frost level.
Okay. Still doesn't address the scour issue. And then the number of posts, that wasn't noted here at all and shown. That's what I had requested last time. How many posts? How many holes are gonna be dug into this dune?
Is the intent of getting the number of pilings to understand the impact of structures within the dune? Or,
Yeah, it's like, this is a large structure. You have a walkway that covers, 80 feet of walkway, and walkway's on the other side, so, how many posts, how many holes are gonna be dug in this dune?
I understand, we can provide the number of pilings and as well as the square footage required for the installation of these structures. I will remind, though, that it will be significantly less than the existing structures on the concrete pad to support these existing 10.
Right, which I applaud you for removing the concrete, which is great, but I think this commission needs to know, you're gonna come in with an excavator with an auger and drill, 150, 200 holes to put in the concrete piers.
There's no other alternative for the installation of pilings.
Right, so, we need that information to make an informed decision, so. And then, you said your structural engineer, Megan, has approved this plan, or is everything contingent on those borings?
So I will clarify that the depth of the footings are contingent on the boring results. The number of piles and posts are based on the structural grid that is provided by my structural engineer. If the commission would allow us, we will send a updated foundation plan from the structural engineer that they have approved. The drawing that you have, the A101, is an architectural plan representing the new extent of the deck itself, but does not show the actual footings.
Okay, yeah, we definitely need that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Dan, Drew, you guys have any
Chairman, can
comments?
I chime in now?
Sure, we go. Okay, Paul.
I'm looking at sheet C1.0. It says the proposed elevated Sperry tent is elevation 12.6. Correct?
Correct, yeah.
And it's a velocity zone 14.
Yes.
If this were a house, don't they have to be 2 feet above?
Yeah, but I
It's going to be an
think,
occupied tent.
I think what the applicant had mentioned last time, that this is a lateral addition, and it can stay at the same level as the building, if I'm correct, I think.
And it's not physically connected to the building. If this deck were to be physically connected to the building,
Right.
it would have to be FEMA compliant.
So, that was for reasoning to keep it at the same level at 12.6. Yeah,
So in the end, we'd have a tent with a floor elevation of 12.6.
yeah,
Which matches the first floor elevation of the building.
In a velocity zone of 14. It
Right.
could have lots of people in it with an upcoming storm.
well,
I'm missing something here.
well, hopefully nobody's there when the
Things
storm
come
comes in.
fast.
Yeah, right.
Maybe it should
The
go up.
unhappy brides.
Okay.
I'm just concerned that with wood piers on
I
a
concur with
concrete
everything you're
footing,
saying.
that you get scour, you get wave action coming in there, and those posts get taken out.
It's a lot of
You
erosion.
know, versus
potential,
having
too.
a, you know, a piling or even a helical pier that you drive down, you know.
We've addressed the
8 feet down
scarring
or
issue
something like
in
that.
in coastal A. This is velocity. You're in there. You're
Right,
ground zero.
Right, yeah, so,
Yep.
and say, you know, can we lessen the amount of piers? Can you go with, you know, instead of wood framing, steel framing, you know, to lessen the number of holes dug in that dune, so those are just a couple thoughts I had on it, but, okay. Dan, Drew? You guys, any comments from you guys?
No comments from me.
No, I don't have any comments for this one.
Okay. I'm not ready to vote on this, because I don't have enough information to make an informed decision.
Yeah, it sounds like the commission really wants to hear how many piles overall or installations can be going into the dune. So yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to proceed tonight or if you wanted to come back at all.
If the commission is not ready to vote, then we will request a continuance to the next hearing.
All right, so that would be November 13th.
So we need to, but you guys need to be able to do these boreholes to be able to come back with a definitive methodology on how you're gonna put the footings in. So do we need to do anything to give them the okay to go ahead and do the boreholes? Huh? No? Okay.
I'd like to see if there's an alternative to reduce the disturbance on those boreholes.
It's all temporary impacts, I will remind you, for the soil borings as well as the access. It can all be fully restored, and track pads will be used for the
Understood.
drill rig. You won't notice a difference within even less than a year.
We're talking about a 4-inch diameter borehole that's temporary, and will be filled back in after with sand.
I was referring to the equipment. Yeah, I was referring to the equipment. This is new.
But you
Yeah.
also mentioned earlier that you were concerned with the placement of the borings, the location of them. I mean, that's not gonna change where the equipment would stay if you move the borehole 5 feet, into the footprint of the tank.
My concern is cumulative impact to the dunes, reducing the disturbance. So similar to some of the other concerns, if there's a way to include that and minimize disturbance to the dunes, that would be my request.
Understood. That's where the track pads will be employed for the use of this machinery. It's going to be the best option that's possible to be able to conduct these borings safely and design the project. The BMPs that are proposed also detailed within the scope and waiver letter show that all methodology will be followed to protect the resource area while the work is going on. And thankfully, it is very quick work. I imagine that these borings will be conducted within a day or two.
Noted.
So the key information that we need is a footing plan and number of footings, and see if there's an alternative to reduce the number of footings. I think, is that, anything else? I mean,
That's from what I gathered tonight, yeah.
okay. All right, Amber. Okay. All right, so requesting continuance to November 13th? Yeah,
That's correct. And the deadline for submitting revised materials?
It'll be the Thursday prior.
Thursday prior. Okay, thank you.
okay. Do I have a motion to continue 252 Shore Drive, Concert, New Seabury to November 13th?
So moved.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made second. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, roll call vote. Sarah?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Shauna?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Have a good night.
Okay, next item, notice intent filing, 5 Deans Hollow Road, John and Beth Ann Lewis and Drolet, proposed installation of innovative alternative IA septic system. Representative Cape and Islands Engineering, DP number 433350, continued from 7/24/8794, and this is a legacy Reg 25 project. All right, good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening. Chuck Rowland, Cape and Islands Engineering. I'm with you today with Andrew Garraway and Adam Brodsky. So This project in front of you right now is part of a kind of two applications, since this is a little bit more simplified than the next filing. But for the record, we're filed a notice of intent application for the owners, John Lewis and Beth Drollet, I think that's how you pronounce her name, for permission to upgrade the existing Title V septic for a new denitrified microfast Title V septic system with raised leach field at 5 Deans Hollow. Property is 9,453 square feet, developed with a private residence. Property card shows it's been developed since 1951. The applicant requests permission to upgrade the septic. Currently, the site is developed with a 3-bedroom septic system, and a new system is proposed as a 4-bedroom system. The site does have approval from the Board of Health for a nitrogen aggregate, which allows for the increase in flow to 4 bedrooms. With the upgraded IA system, even the increased flow, the new septic will better serve the groundwater to reduce the nitrogen. Work limits defined in the field are erosion sediment controls, which will be installed, and efforts will be coordinated to minimize disturbance within and around subject resource areas. Once the work limits are installed, the contractor will prepare the site and proceed with necessary groundwork and septic installation. The existing tank will be emptied, excavated, and removed per Title V. The new septic system components include a new leach field, microfast AI pump chamber, and the trenches will be backfilled for the new septic. So essentially, it's all being kept in the backyard due to the low grade of the back area. We do need some dewatering for the installation of both the septic tank as well as the pump chamber. We've called the pump chamber and the tank to be waterproofed, and then the system will be raised up, and we've actually proposed slightly more than the minimum requirement for the groundwater separation for this one. We did have a revised plan. This was the revised plan that incorporated the comments from the abutter to move the proposed dewatering area away from the abutting property. So this was filed under the old flood zone regulations to protect us, so that way the client could keep the 4-bedroom nitrogen credit. So we believe that we have met that requirement. As with the new regulations, it would not be allowed. So this is a, what do you call it? Legacy filing. I'm sure there's questions, but we believe that even with the increase in flow, which we believe we're allowed to have, is overall benefit to the resource, the wetland. This is flood zone only, and not in the buffer zone.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, go out to commissioners. Sarah?
Thank you, Steve. Good evening, gentlemen. I don't see on, I don't have this plan, but on the plan that I have, I don't see the resource areas marked.
It's flood zone only.
Flood zone only, okay. Can you tell me why there are two separate applications? Why the septic upgrade was not included in the raise and replace?
So the septic upgrade was included in the raise and replace. They are two totally separate filings. The reason why is because we were told a date of when the new regulations would come into effect. We believed that they would go into effect that date. And so when we saw the draft regulations, we filed this notice of intent and the plan in front of you. After that, the new regulations were approved, this commission so graciously allowed a grace period for further applications to get submitted under the old regulations, and so that's why there's two different filings. If the client chooses not to end up, proceeding with the next filing, which is kind of a different subject, they would like to be able to keep the 4-bedroom septic that they've gotten the nitrogen credits for because it is in a zone 2 under this application.
Okay, thank you. So this is nitrogen offset, and I'm looking here, this is actually the first time that I've seen Board of Health comments. But for this property, it just says, new septic construction must meet full compliance with Board of Health, IA septic systems regulation, and any disposal system variances shall be heard before the approving authority, BOH. I don't see anything referencing here that nitrogen offset. Is there any information or documentation that?
We don't have any, no.
Okay, but we can confirm this is
Oh, I can definitely confirm.
already
I just
taken
don't have
place?
it right now. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Okay. I think those are the only questions I have for this application. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Sarah. Paul?
Steve, I'll pass right now, but I'm not ready.
Okay, sure. Shauna?
It's a failed system now?
I'm
Did I
I'm
read
not
that
saying,
somewhere?
I'm not saying that.
Is that a no?
I didn't read that somewhere. I'm confusing my,
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I'm not a septic inspector. To be
Huh?
honest, I did not
Huh?
inspect the septic.
like it was before.
I'm not under the impression it's a failed septic system.
Okay, all set, Shauna?
Yeah, good.
Okay, Sandy?
I'm not telling you didn't read that, though. I'm not under the impression it's a failed system.
I thought I read somewhere there was concerns that the septic system currently
For the
was too close
groundwater.
to the groundwater.
Yeah, I did read
And
that
then, I guess my question will, the new system will be the appropriate in conformance to distance to groundwater. You're not a septic guy, but in general.
I'm just
You're just
an
playing one
engineer.
on TV today.
That's right.
Good evening, Adam Brodsky. The new system will comply with the requirements for groundwater separation. I think that's what you were looking for.
Yes.
Okay, Sandy?
Nothing right now.
Okay, Rich?
No questions.
Okay. Okay, so one of the questions I have is, I see the plan for the septic system, and I see the tanks and the microfast system, but then the plans in the package for the next one shows a totally different septic layout. So, are you guys proposing to install this system, and then maybe the next one doesn't come along, or when the next notice of intent comes along, you're going to change the system?
So Chair Cook, just to be clear, there's always the possibility this commission may deny the raise and reconstruct project. The purpose of this filing is to preserve the nitrogen credits. So again, we need to go through the entire hearing process for both hearings. And at some point, I mean, this commission could issue 2 orders of conditions approving the project. Obviously, the client would need to select which project, or the clients would need to select which project to go forward. So they'd effectively, ask for, perhaps a certificate of compliance to indicate that the project that they're not constructing is not going to be constructed, so that the registry record and your records are clear that that project will not be constructed.
Okay.
So they're allowed to have multiple notices of intent in front of you.
Right.
I understand it's a little unusual, but it was done because of these unusual circumstances with the new regulation coming into effect.
Right, I understand that, but there's 2 septic plans, 2
Yes, sir.
separate septic plans. So
they-
say if we approve this plan,
Yes.
and you go install it, then we approve the tear down rebuild, and you start construction, do you have to change that plan to match this plan?
So as a practical matter, the client is not going to do that. If you approve both projects, the client will decide which project to go forward with. they wouldn't, I think, under any circumstance, construct this project only to take it out of the ground and construct the second project.
Okay, so we're approving two separate septic
These are
systems.
two separate filings, you need to consider them
So, okay.
separately.
So this one is just for that septic system there.
That's it. Yes, sir.
The next filing is for a raise and replace and a different septic system.
That's correct, yes, sir.
I just wanted to make sure I understood that clearly.
No,
Other
it took me a
members
little
did.
while to get ahead of this one also, but, I mean, you understand the rationale.
Yeah,
Yes.
I do. Yeah, I just need that, I'm seeing two different septic system plans. I
Absolutely.
just want to understand what we're approving here. Okay. Then, I think that answers my question. I'll come back to you, Paul.
So I'm a little confused because I spent a lot of homework on both of these proposals. This one is raised in amount? No. Or is it the other one?
Is this one, what was your question?
Is this one raised up, the bed?
This is a raised leach field, yes.
Yeah.
Walled. It's walled.
It's walled and elevated, correct?
Yes, sir.
How high?
Top of the wall, we call for at 10.6.
6.
And the grade is 5.8, 5.8?
Between 5.8 and 6.8, yes.
Okay, so 5 feet, 5 foot high wall.
Okay. And then, I suppose it doesn't help to ask this, but I'm going to anyways. In the other septic system, is that one raised as well?
Yes.
Same amount?
No, that actually meets the requirements as opposed to this plan, which exceeds the requirements. So that one's a little lower.
That's all, thanks.
Okay. Dan and Drew, any comments from you guys at the moment?
No comments from me, Steve, thank you.
Okay,
No, I don't have any for this one.
okay. Any comments from the audience? I know we have a letter from Paul and Katie Thurston. I see them in the audience. Do you guys want me to read this letter for this septic system, this first one?
I think the next one,
This is for the next one? Okay, so we'll hold off. So no comment on this one, okay. That's right, yeah, I just, because it starts off with septic system, so I just want to make sure that I'm reading at the right
Time.
hearing, right time. Okay, thank you. Okay. All right. Any other questions, concerns from commissioners?
Last question, that's just, do we know the location of the aggregate area for, we don't? Doesn't it have to be in the same?
I don't believe that was submitted with this application. You can enlighten us.
I'm not 100% aware of where exactly it is, but I know that it meets all the requirements. It's gotten the health department approval. It's been recorded at the registry of deeds.
How do we know this, though? I mean, we don't even know where it is.
Well, they're showing the approximate location from the tie card on that plan, where the existing septic system is.
He's talking about
Oh,
the
for the
nitrogen
offset.
offset
Talking about the
land.
offsite.
Oh,
nitrogen
offset land.
plants.
Oh,
Where
okay.
it's in
It's
town.
supposed to be within the same
Yeah.
area,
That does in the zone too, is it?
right?
So Chair Cook,
I mean,
unless
it's
I'm
the first-
mistaken, that's a Board of Health issue, not a Conservation Commission issue?
It's a protection of groundwater issue is what I'm knocking the door on, and I'm talking within commissioners. Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
you do not belong in this conversation right now.
Okay. Well,
So in every, what I always refer to as robbing Peter to pay Paul, in every one of these aggregate issues that I've seen since I've been a commissioner, we've known the exact location of the credited land. Why do we not have that for this one? I'm a little confused.
Yeah, I think the last one we did, it was noted, it was off Old Barnstable Road, I think it was noted, yeah. Yeah.
That's always been provided.
Okay. Would that stop commissioners from voting on that, for not knowing where this land is? Or can it be made a condition as part of this notice of intent filing? Is it?
Well, I'm just bringing it up for the information of everybody. I
Yeah.
think it should be. because that has to be recorded on the deed for wherever that land is, that that land cannot be developed. We don't even know where the land is.
Absolutely, absolutely agree. 100%.
Well, and
We
this,
don't even
this
know
is a
what it
public
is.
hearing, so I think for the benefit of the community, it would be helpful to have that information on the record, rather than just changing hands after the
Okay.
meeting's ended.
All right, so would commissioners feel more comfortable to have that information for us before having a vote on this? What's everybody's thoughts on that?
So,
or make it a
anybody can go
condition.
to the registry and be able to find out what's on anybody's deed. And assuming that this is all correct, it doesn't really matter where, it does, why does it matter?
Well, it has to be.
So if it's a properly done trade-off, the Peter has wrought Paul appropriately, right? They've actually entered into a transaction, not a robbery, right? It doesn't matter to us.
Well,
And,
wait a minute.
and the public can get this information by just going to the registry of deeds.
But we could make it a condition as part of the order of conditions, is
It
to
should
pro-
be
to
part.
to provide that, but that, my question is to commissioners, will that stop a vote on this septic system tonight for that lack of information, or would the commissioners be comfortable with making it a condition?
This is the first time I'm hearing this kind of terminology, so could you explain it to me so I can understand it a little better? So what are we actually?
So what happens when there's an increase in flow or some other stuff that goes with Board of Health, and the property lot cannot compensate that increase for the square footage of the lot? They can apply for an aggregate nitrogen land, and that land has to be set aside somewhere in town. I'm not too sure of the specifics, but it has to be set aside, that matches and is approved by the Board of Health, as an offset to the amount of nitrogen that's gonna be put into this lot. So it could be land somewhere in town. The last couple we had, they had land in a separate area of town that was still a Zone 2, in that case as well. So, yeah, that's what the discussion is, just where that land is located.
Can I point
Sure.
something out?
Hold on.
Be in zone two.
Hold on.
I don't know. I don't know the specifics for the
Do
Board of
we
Health.
know,
folks. Yeah.
do we know that this is true? That this has happened?
Well, I guess the Board of Health would not approve
This, okay.
any variances
I
without having that, and add an increase.
Right.
Correct, yeah.
It would be helpful to be able to verify that, though, due diligence.
it's been approved,
It'd be
we should
helpful to
have
be
the
able to verify
information.
that. This is what we have from the Board of Health. There's
Right.
nothing-
So my question is to commissioners, do we move forward with a motion and a vote with having that information as a condition of the order of conditions?
Sure.
That has to be met, or do we have the applicant continue the hearing and then provide that information to us? I just want everybody's thoughts on that. So, I don't know. Start with you, Sarah.
This is just so slippery, and I think what I'm trying to look at are, our responsibilities to our regulations and also the responsibilities to the process, making sure that we're being consistent to ensure that what we are signing off on is in the best interest of the resource area to the best of our ability, so that which is within our purview. The Board of Health has already approved this, yes. However, what we know about this process is that more nitrogen is going onto this lot than that lot can dilute, according to our regulatory standards, toward the groundwater protection aims that we're here to uphold. So we're preserving a piece of land. We're not going to transport nitrogen from this home to that land. It doesn't work. The same thing with carbon offsets. We see this with climate change all the time. So I think if we are going to sign off on a project that is, got the approval of the nitrogen aggregate program, which this is my first interface with as well, I would like to make sure that every I is dotted and every T is crossed. I would like to see some verification other than somebody just saying, no problem, already been approved.
Okay, so So you want to see it
I would
first
like more
before you
information.
vote, okay?
I'd like more information.
Paul?
Typically, we do know the location. And when I've seen them in the past, I've looked at the location to see how much effect there would be on any nearby wetlands resource. I know what the nearby wetlands resource is with this. And I know that 4 bedrooms on this is dumping a lot of nitrogen into the ground. Granted, it's an IA system, but it's still extra nitrogen, which we're desperately trying to get out of here with all of the sewering we're doing. So it's been approved, great. Provide the information. I don't understand why we don't have the location for that aggregate land, so I'm not inclined to.
Okay. Shauna?
So this has been very confusing, the two projects, so I might have gotten looped up someplace. So looking at this project as a standalone, do we know the nitrogen values pre and post
Yeah.
on this?
They're provided.
So help me to see them.
Yeah, right in the package. Pre is 15 parts per million, and post is 10.5.
With the increased flow?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. That's how I understand it, yeah.
Is this for the first system or the second one?
Yeah,
New system, we're at 10.
yeah.
Okay, so even with increased flow on this, with this, on this lot, we're improving the nitrogen levels, even on that,
Yeah.
okay. So I agree with Sarah in the aspect of we can't take it on faith that the right process has been followed someplace else, and I don't think we have concrete evidence to that effect from the Board of Health. Is there a way for us to condition this project so that we could vote on it today with the backstop of knowing that if we go to the Board of Health and find out it is not correct, that this, basically, our approval is rescinded?
Well, yeah, if we make it a condition,
Okay.
and then they can't act on it until that condition is
Okay,
met.
okay.
Now, the other option, which we talked about before in another project, is we can close on this and vote
And vote next time.
next hearing when the information is provided. So we can close out, close the hearing.
Are these nitrogen calculations for the first project or the second project?
This is,
Because
Second.
the second project is a different size house and it's a different system
Well,
design.
that's why
So-
that's why I'm sorry, Ed,
Right.
I've like got myself totally looped up
Yeah,
in
and-
terms of,
You know, we do have to look at these projects as standalone from a regulatory standpoint, but our regulations also do give us the charge to look at cumulative impact, and this is not a standalone. We know there's another project where we're tearing down this house and blowing up this lot and increasing
so
the
that's
footprint.
the improvement on,
So,
That's for this one.
that's for this one, okay.
11, so we're going from 15 down to
15 to
11.
11, okay.
well, is that even with the, if the septic gets upgraded, but the house size remains the same?
This number is just for the septic application, nothing to do with the house.
So is this current existing conditions, or is
The
this with
current
the new
existing, I
system?
believe, is still the same, the 15?
Yep.
Yep, the 15.
And the nitrogen
Okay. I
calculations
see.
on that were run as a 4-bedroom.
Yes, these both.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so you got that. Sandy?
I think if we can close it out, but come back with, so we see the information, would be a good compromise.
Okay, Rich?
Yeah, if the Board of Health verifies it, then I guess we can condition that and vote on it tonight.
Okay, so you wanted to make it a condition, not
Yeah,
just close and
Board of Health
vote next
already
time?
agreed it,
Yeah, okay. So 1, 2, you guys are close the hearing and vote on it at the next hearing?
I'm okay with that.
Deliberate, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's acceptable.
Okay.
Because that one there, this one, Dan, this is figuring in the building, the existing building?
This figures in the existing building only.
Yeah.
Yep, not the proposed, for the next application. This is for just the septic upgrade, nothing else.
Okay. And that would give us enough time for, within the,
Oh, they can either submit it or we can gather it from the Board of Health,
But-
unless Mr. Brodsky has
once we
something.
close, we have enough time for 21 days, that whole thing? Yeah, okay. All right. Okay, I'll go back to you.
Oh, no,
Attorney
thank you.
Brodsky, yeah.
Mr. Garrelay pulled up the grant of Title V nitrogen loading restriction and easement of nitrogen credit land, which was recorded in the Barnstable Land Court. It must be registered land on January 27, 2020. It's document number 1389039. So there's no question that they properly did everything that was needed and required under Title V and your local regulations. And we can't get an application to install the system without the Board of Health verifying this information. So I'm representing to you that I'm literally looking at the recorded document on the registry, and it's.
Okay.
All right. And just one clarification, I just counted the days till the 13th. The 13th will be day 21, so closing the public hearing and then redeliberating on then would not be possible.
Okay.
You, for that date, you'd have to have an emergency hearing prior to that date to have a deliberation.
Okay, so that option is off the table.
It's not off the table, you would have to have an emergency meeting prior to that Thursday, November 13th, so.
Chair Cook, could you close the hearing and deliberate tonight?
The information.
No, I don't have the information. So if we make it a condition, means that they can't proceed.
If you make it a condition, they can't do anything until they submit that information, yes.
But once that's submitted, you can provide that to all the members.
Oh, it would be sent to every single
Yeah,
commissioner
right.
immediately, yeah.
So if it's a condition, they can't proceed with it. It sounds like the close and voting on 13th is off the table unless we have an emergency meeting. I don't know if we want to do that or not. At this point, if they're saying that it did get recorded, I'm fine with making it a condition. Because, they wouldn't be able to proceed without anything. And then it depends on if the next option comes up too, Yeah.
This is a condition we're looking from the Board of Health that it's been approved, is that?
We
I'm
want
still
to
a
know
little
where the
con-
land is.
The
Yeah,
location of the offset.
we can do a condition to.
No, but we need to know where the location is.
Yeah, I would put it as a submission of the nitrogen aggregate information, the land, the Board of Health's information as well. I would make that the condition, just to have essentially the whole packet submitted for that.
And would we also condition any changes to the septic system design getting reported
Resubmitted.
or approved before construction begins?
It has to get recorded. They can't conduct any work for any approved permit without having the order of conditions recorded. That's for certain. But no, if you have other conditions to add on to it, now's definitely the time to
Saying
talk.
that they're going to change the design on it,
Right.
then there'll be
We're happy
condition
to
have to
do
come
that.
back to the commission. on that.
Yeah, you could make that a condition. If the design on this individual permit is going to change, you could have them come back to the commission as an amended order. Yeah.
That's actually a boilerplate condition in every order that we issue.
Okay,
Yeah,
great, thanks, Drew.
sure.
Chair Cook, we have the location if you'd like it.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, can we just go back to the nitrogen load? Can we pull up the nitrogen loading? Because I just want to make sure I'm totally clear on this, given
Yep.
we're going to vote on this. So the 15% was done the existing three-bedroom house as a three-bedroom house or as a four-bedroom house?
It was of the existing three-bedroom house with a standard Title V system.
Okay. And the 11 gets you new system for four
Same
bedrooms?
exact site conditions, except 4 bedrooms with an IA.
Okay.
Then
That straightens me out on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. And
Sorry to be
okay.
pedantic, but
So we'll go back, Attorney Brodsky? Yeah.
Oh, it's
Kind of important.
0 Leather Leaf Lane is the other property.
I'm just going to pull it up real quick, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Never Leave
Reservation.
Lane?
No, it's off Old Barnstable. Right, yeah.
So this is the location here. Yeah, so for Paul's comment, this is the offset land and the wetlands that would be associated with it would be the child's. I don't want to say associated with it. I don't know the buffers from there.
Nearby.
But there is one there. And that's the only one I know of. The child's river ditch here could be the other option, but that is currently dry. That has no water in it, so.
Right. Okay. So, right. All right, so at this point, let's say we can make a motion to close an issue with conditions to have all Board of Health approvals and the aggregate land submitted, and then,
In the record,
yeah, and then, that can be dispensed pretty quickly once the applicant provides it.
We'll get that to you tomorrow if you want.
Yeah, if everybody's happy with that, we can proceed with that end of it.
Yeah, it needs to be a matter of record and,
Yeah.
and not on somebody's phone. And,
Right.
need to have.
Right. Okay. So,
Trust but verify.
yeah, so we have a motion for 5 Dean's Hollow Road for proposed IA septic system.
Give it a whirl here. So make a motion to close an issue at 5 Dean's Hollow Road with the following condition. The nitrogen aggregate program, where the land is located, and the approval of the Board of Health.
Yeah, you probably want to have all Board of Health approvals or variances, or,
And all Board of Health approvals and variances.
yeah, so it's one complete package.
We also want to, if they change the plan, we have to come back with a...
Yeah, I think
I
that's
think Drew
already-
said that was a
Oh,
boilerplate that was
right,
on
I'm
it.
sorry,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
they do. Sorry, forgot.
Okay. Any other conditions anybody want to put on it?
And there's a mitigation plan with this, so is that get conditioned with this, or is that?
Nope, the mitigation will be on the
It's
next
the
one.
next
Okay.
one.
Yeah. Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made second. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Sarah?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Shauna?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Thank you.
All right, moving on, next item, notice of intent filing, 5 Dean's Hollow Road, John and Beth Ann Lewis and Drolet, proposed raise of existing dwelling, construct and maintain new, well, that doesn't make, construct and maintain new single-family dwelling with IA septic system, hardscape, landscape, and mitigation plantings, representatives Cape and Islands Engineering, Inc., BP number 433356. Continue from 8/7 and 9/4, and this is a Legacy Reg 25 project. All right, good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening. Chuck Rowland, Cape and Islands Engineering. Again, I'm here with Andrew Garraway and Adam Brodsky. So this project before you tonight is the proposed demo and rebuild of the existing single-family dwelling, proposed 4-bedroom dwelling with a Title V microfast IA system. The property at 5 Dean's Hollow is, just want to make sure, 10,037 square feet. Private residence developed as per the town records in 1951. As of right now, other than the project that was just voted on, there are no environmental permits for this property. The applicant requests permission to raise and rebuild with the new house at elevation 14.1, which meets the current flood code requirements. The new dwelling will include a front porch, back deck, rinse station, as well as the proposed raised septic system in the backyard. The project includes the updated existing septic, which will increase the flow The raised leach field with wall to support the over the raised grade. Proposed septic is designed for 4 bedrooms. Currently, the site is developed with 3 bedrooms, and the new system, as proposed, is 4-bedroom system. The site does have approval with nitrogen aggregate, as stated before. So to go into construction protocol, we will be putting in a silt fence work limit. The existing septic tank will be removed as per Title V with a new raised wall around the proposed septic. We'll be installing the Title V, the FAST system, as well as the leach field in the raised area. This project has a much larger area for it to be cleared, and we can go into that after in a minute to talk about the landscape plan. So as part of this plan, we have proposed a series of dry wells, catch basins, which we feel meet the Conservation Commission's requirements for stormwater management. Overall, this site is a benefit to the existing structure as it is a raised system. It meets the flood code requirements. We will have be meeting coastal resilience requirements because of the new building code requirements. So it will be up on piles. So it will be designed for a much larger significant storm event. We've proposed pervious driveways for gravel, as well as 1,291 square feet of mitigation on the west side of the property, and then on the south and east side of the property, we have another 1,200 square feet of mitigation. So with that, I'll hand it off to Drew for the landscape design.
Yes, Andrew Garrelay, registered landscape architect, Yarmouth-Port Design Group. Yes, as Chuck mentioned, the mitigation in the flood zone at a rate of 2 to 1 for expansion in the flood zone yields us required mitigation of 2,426 square feet, and we are just under 2,500 square feet at 2,491 shown. What we did with the raised septic system is we kept it back from the neighbor's retaining wall, raised retaining wall by the property line, so that we could keep an animal corridor, wildlife corridor between the 2 properties. We kept the wall back 5 feet from the rear property line, again, to be able to provide some wildlife habitat around the outside of the retaining wall. As Chuck mentioned, the driveways are pervious. Also on the site existing are some Alberta, all ornamentals. There's Alberta spruce, small dwarf Alberta spruce. They're big for dwarf Alberta spruce, but that's what they are, as well as Youngii weeping European birch, and a southern magnolia. So there's no native trees along the in the zoning setbacks. Along the shore drive, there's a number of Rosa Sharon that are potentially invasive but not on the list. So they're going to be coming out, and we're going to be providing, as you can see, quite a lot of wildlife habitat here, including to kind of make up for those Alberta spruce. I have some eastern red cedars in there, 8 of those, and 3 Juneberry that are also for varied strata in our mitigation. And we've got a little bit of sweet fern where things are tight to be able to fill the space nicely, but a lot of northern bayberry, 39 of those, 20 inkberry, we've got winterberry and high bush blueberry. So we're providing a lot of wildlife food and cover in an area where there's almost none around, so I think that that's pretty significant. On the raised septic system area, we're also using that to be able to provide the elevation. They still need to be raised a little bit, but that's where the air conditioning units and generator and the blower for the FAST system, or whatever the AI system is, are all on top of the wall in order to be able to help elevate them out of the flood zone as required by building code. And then all the areas that are not vegetated with mitigation will be around the house itself. We have some ornamental planting beds, and then any areas that are left open, we have fescue clover mix for ground cover. And there is a 218 square foot patio in the backyard on top of the raised septic system as well. And I think that's about it.
Just to come back to nitrogen loading calculations, so the existing, as before, the existing nitrogen loading is 15.06 parts per million, and with the proposed development, the reduction in landscape as well as the IA, we're going down to 10.46 parts per million, so it is a fairly significant increase, benefit to the environment with that reduction. And then we did look at the exceedance maps. So by 2030, there's a 5% chance and a 3.5 foot depth. So obviously with the structure, we are more than meeting that. And then the 2050 is a 50% chance and a 10-foot depth. And so with an existing grade at 10 feet, at some point, there's a chance there might be a little bit of water in the house, but it's going to survive because it does meet flood code requirements.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, go to the commissioners. Sarah? Start with you.
Good evening again, gentlemen. A couple of questions. So, in the narrative that I have, I see a proposed 2,364 square feet of, oh, excuse me, wrong paragraph, 2,377 square feet of installed native mitigation plantings, and I think, Andrew, what I heard you just say is that the number is actually 2,491.
We did some mitigation, and it probably got,
Okay.
Yeah, we did.
it didn't get.
There's a lot of numbers to keep track of.
Yeah, we added mitigation.
So the narrative was not updated when we updated the plans, but obviously,
Okay.
so the plans kind of hold.
So they've changed, and then maybe you can tell me, so I see that the narrative says that the lot will be cleared of all existing landscaped vegetation, and this is a small lot, but there's a significant amount of vegetation. So can you tell me what percentage of, so if we're replacing existing vegetation, and maybe the staff or commission can educate me on this, does that count if we replace existing vegetation that has been removed? Does that count towards the compensatory plantings? Or are we expected to replace what we remove and then add additional compensatory plantings to meet the regulatory standards? Do you know what I mean?
So in this case, I don't believe you're removing any native vegetation, correct?
No native vegetation.
Yeah, so if they're not removing native vegetation,
So it's just any landscape vegetation doesn't,
no, not that
Okay.
not that I'm aware of, yeah.
okay. And I see the other question is the waiver request that's referenced in the narrative. The one that I have is dated July 24th. Is that the one we're working with? Or has there been an update to that?
I may not have a copy of the waiver, but what is your question?
I had a couple questions. The first one, it's not included in the body of the text, but I do see that we're requesting a waiver from Regulation 31-1, which is having more than 10% of the lot coverage in lawn. Can you confirm if that
I
is
believe
a
that
valid
we-
request?
I think you can tell me, but I believe that we actually, at least with the landscape plan we have, do you have the amount of lawn on there?
The percentage lot coverage for the lawn?
Oh, I don't know what the percentage of lot coverage of.
I believe that we are under the 10% now.
Is there another reason that there's been a waiver requested for that particular regulation that I'm not seeing?
I can't think of one.
Fair enough.
The big waiver the only big waiver I can think of is the proposed.
Is that just in the,
Is the 75-foot buffer.
The setback. Yep.
Because obviously we're in the flood zone.
Yep. So that was another question. So on the waiver, I do see that a citation for our regulation is correct, chapter 172.7A3. However, not all the sections are addressed here. So if we look at Chapter 172.70A3, it states the following: waivers from Chapter 172 regulations and/or performance standards are only granted for good cause shown on a case-by-case basis. This means consideration of 3 factors. The first, how compelling is the need for the requested waiver on the part of the applicant? 2, to what degree are normal standards being asked to be put aside? Is the request for relaxing of our standards minor, moderate, or major in both scope and impact? And then the third factor is to what degree will compensatory or mitigating measures result in a significant enhancement of the capacity of the pre-existing resource area and/or adjacent buffer to protect the wetland values of Chapter 172, Section 1. And so if I'm looking at the waiver request that's dated July 24th, I don't see any submission here for a compelling need to tear down a house and build back a bigger one.
I can tell you I have a good one, but obviously I didn't put it in there. Obviously, the existing structure does not meet flood code, and the purpose of this entire project is to redevelop it and meeting current flood code standards.
Understood. Wouldn't that be to build it back the same size, though? I think what I'm looking for is the compelling need for the increased size of the home, and then all of the increased effects therein to the floodplain. And I will say this, when we're being asked to waive our regulations, and compelling need has not been demonstrated, and/or we're proposing an increase in the size of a home in exchange for, what I would consider some modest environmental improvements to the site, my response is then to consider the impact at this point of expanding our developed footprint in an already overdeveloped floodplain. There are a couple of things. We have a lot of information that we have access to in reference to the increased risk and inevitability of flooding and rising waters. And then, very relevant to our community right now, we just voted to take on an almost $30 million loan to clean up one body of water. All the residents in town are going to be paying for this, and what we are finding is we're seeing this kind of terminally ill environmental resource that is, I believe, a visible representation of this cumulative adverse impact that we are tasked to restrict, which is what the regulations are here for. If we look at the tragedy of the commons, which is the foundation for all environmental science, and for those in the room or maybe listening who don't have that background, essentially it can be summarized by saying, public resources that are exploited for private gain will fail, and we are here to prevent that. The regulations are in place to prevent that. So when we are being asked to waive said regulations without compelling need, I understand building back a house in the exact same footprint, the exact same size that's flood compliant, that's a health and safety issue, but increasing the size of that house does not, to me, demonstrate a compelling need for the impact that we're going to see on the resource area. So I would preface all of that to pass it over to you and ask if there's a compelling need, why this house has to be bigger than it is right now. I get why it has to be higher, but does it have to be bigger?
So Chair Cook, through you, sir, we're happy to provide an updated waiver letter that addresses each of the points Ms. Thornburg has raised this evening. Obviously, raising and reconstructing a non-conforming house in the floodplain, and it not only meets the requirements, it actually exceeds the requirements for construction within an AE zone, is a significant environmental benefit. And as you've heard me say, will actually be beneficial to the town because it brings it into compliance with the NFIP program and will improve the town's rating. But we'll provide you with additional information to speak to that. Obviously, in order to be able to do projects of this size, there has to be some benefit to it, to the homeowner to do. And so we'll provide more information in order to clarify that, and we'll address each of those points.
Thank you. Okay. Paul?
I guess my first question is, you have this up on a pier foundation, Chuck, right?
Yes.
And what's between the piers? Is that a slab underneath it, or is it just exposed gravel, or?
I'm not quite sure what they're going to be using as a product, whether it's gravel or a slab foundation underneath, or...
I believe it is the same as what was presented on, I think it was Kim Path recently, and I think they were doing the same foundation setup for this house. It was Architect Associates, the same people, are designing the same kind of piers. So I believe it's a concrete slab, and I believe that you asked us to cut holes in that floor, and we'd be happy to do that again with this one.
Okay. Can you guys provide building plans? Because there are no building plans provided with this application. So, for next time. Okay.
The other thing, I know, this is a legacy filing, I get that, but the engineer did bring up the Morris data on this site, and he very quickly went through the figures, which I always look at, and he's correct. When you get to the standard 2050, Cape Cod Commission standard, Chuck very quickly said it's a 50% chance. When we look at these FEMA maps now, we're looking at 100-year storm events. A 50% chance of probability is a 2-year return rate. So every 2 years, and he said it, 10 feet of water on that site. That's a lot of water. So I get a lot of concerns about, and I know it's non-applicable because we're on the old 25, but the data is what it is. We've got a septic system, we've got piers, which is great. I'd like to see no slab.
I believe that 50% requirement, or 50% note means that it's a 50% chance between then and now. It's not a...
No. That's not my understanding.
We can look at it.
A 2-year event, a 50% annual chance is equivalent to a 2-year return period. This does not mean that such a flood will occur exactly every 2 years. Rather, it means there is a 50% chance of that level of flooding happening in any given year, including in consecutive years. So it's every 2. That's a 50% factor. But anyways, that's not applicable because this is a legacy filing. But nevertheless, it's a 1,181 square foot increase in structure, correct? Is that?
I believe so, yeah.
That's a lot of extra house. So I've got some concerns about water that's coming into this area and where it's going to go. Maybe a couple of cutouts and a slab might help, but it's not going to absorb everything. So that's just my opinion.
Okay. Thanks, Paul. Shauna?
I haven't got any questions.
Okay. Andy?
I was going to ask Paul's question. Paul's question was mine about this, what's underneath the pier, so I'm all set.
Okay. Rich?
I guess clarification I'm trying to understand. So if the house is on pilings, is there lattice around? Is it open? Can I see straight through it? And if that's the case, if you can see straight through it, and it's a concrete slab, what are openings in the slab gonna do? I don't know, if it's open, it's gonna flow.
Unless it's standing.
Well, some of it gets the source.
It's there,
And,
yeah.
you know, I know it's gonna flow. The top depends on the volume, you know, and the speed of the flow, but
Coastal flood zones receive that.
some of them.
And is that in our
Percolating.
purview to require, is that a building code thing?
Well, I think it's in our purview because we're in charge of the groundwater
Yep.
preserving and everything. That's gonna help recharge the groundwater and minimize stormwater damage. That's my thoughts on it.
Can the slab be pitched? I don't know, obviously this isn't my forte, but if slab underneath has a pitch to it, then if there is any water goes outside the structure.
Yeah. Yeah, it shouldn't be standing water underneath the building, yeah.
In a flood zone, the flood has to be allowed to enter the building, even if it was flood zone event, and then recede from where it came from. So a coastal storm, you'd have salt water, you wouldn't really want to recharge the ground with salt water anyway. That's going to recede back from whence it came from. But we have no problem with putting openings in that slab. We just don't have a problem doing it.
Okay. Anything else, Rich?
No, that's it, thank you.
Okay. So one of my questions is providing a building plan to see what, what the pilings, number of pilings, is it open, like Rich's question, or vertical boards or lattice, whatever's underneath it. The other question I have, it looks like between the wall for the new septic system and the abutters wall, that there's a 4-foot space there?
Let's see your scale, I can't remember if it's 4. Oh, here it is. 4 or 5.
So I've put a 4-foot dimension between our wall and the abutters wall, yes.
Okay. So I'm a little nervous about having water channeling through there in a flood event, because, it's going to come up and it's going to flood down the street and come down the other. And then on this other property, which is behind there, there's no context of walls, buildings, is there anything on that property? Is that just an open grassy?
There's a house on the abutters property. I don't know how far away it is.
But
There's nothing on the
it's all
property line.
flat, that whole land behind it's all flat?
From my recollection, the entire neighborhood's very flat.
All right, so you're going to have like a 4.5, 5-foot high wall around that septic system then?
Yes.
Okay. And then what's the height of the abutters wall over there? Looking at the
Roughly the
photographs I
same.
saw, I'm assuming 3.5, 4 feet?
It's about the same height as what we're proposing.
Okay, so you have 2 5-foot walls with an alleyway going through there.
If you'd rather us fill it, I don't think that there's going to be enough velocity of water going through there to scour and run a channel through there, as the entire neighborhood is in the flood zone. So it is in a zone, it's not in a velocity zone. So water will be coming in from pretty much every direction. And even when it recedes, I just don't see how water would either be rushing from the south or rushing from the north, where it's actually coming from the west, since that's where the body of water is, the closest body of water is. But there's also one to the east. This isn't an upland area with only one source of water coming in. We're totally surrounded by water, so I don't foresee us having a channelized flow going through there.
Okay. I tend to disagree with you, because that's the only place where it's narrow. Every other place it's open, so water flowing in, so.
I wouldn't be surprised if water does flow through there, but the water is coming in from both directions. It's not like we're damming an area.
Can we raise the grade in that area?
Sure, yeah, we can do that if you'd like.
Yeah. The plantings look good. It's a good mitigation plan, but yeah, if we can raise the grade in there, that'd be helpful. I think that's my only questions at the moment. Dan and Drew, you guys have any comments?
No comments from me.
For me, there's no comments really. I think the mitigation package with this, compared to what is currently on site, is a benefit to the resource area as well as to wildlife in the area. While at the same time, I do understand some of the commission's concerns, but it seems that you're willing to have that open discussion about it, so.
Okay. Any other comments from commissioners before we go to the audience?
Steve, I just have a question for you. When you said to raise the grade, are you talking the grade between the two walls?
Yeah.
Can you do that in a floodplain?
Well, it doesn't, I don't, something like this, tape it up, I was thinking something like that, so it kind of,
Yeah.
I
I know what you're saying,
so it
but I
doesn't
don't know if that's
kinda-
allowable by town bylaw.
Plantings, maybe? Maybe plantings.
You can do it for septic, but to do between walls, I don't know. I don't think you can.
Okay.
Phil,
Can
is
we-
the Phil bylaw, is that what?
An alternative would be to extend the wall coming from, I'll hold this up. sorry about putting this in front of your face, Adam.
To do something useful.
If we can extend this wall to meet the abutters wall and extend this wall to meet the abutters wall, we could eliminate that wall and fill right up against the abutters wall.
Okay, yeah, that'd be helpful. That would
You
eliminate a
have to fill
potential
6
issue.
inches onto the abutter's property because his wall is 6 inches inside his property. But if that makes everybody happy, including the abutter, then we'd be happy to do that. That was actually my original plan.
That would eliminate a potential issue, so.
What about the abutter? I mean,
Yep, and the butter's right here, so we can, I'm gonna go out to the butters
Oh, that's
next,
you?
so,
Okay,
yeah. So,
okay.
anything else from the commissioners at this point? No? Okay. Because the butters provided a letter and requested to be read into public record, but we'll go to the butters right now. Do you have any comments you want to talk about or respond to?
I'd rather give you the record first, and I can elaborate. Comment later, if that's permissible.
Okay, all right. Okay, so I'm going to read this letter into the record. All right, this is from Paul and Katie Thurston, 9 Deans Hollow Road in Mashpee, addressed to the Conservation Commission. This is revised and resubmitted 10/20/25. Okay. Dear Chairman Cook, I'm writing regarding the NOI filing for 5 Deans Hollow Road, and as a direct abutter, we support the raise and replace application stating that the new septic system will help reduce nitrogen and get the existing system out of the groundwater. In addition, the new fast system will have an immediate effect on both Deans Pond and the Papaneset Beach area. However, we are looking for the following support and relief for the project, as we are concerned that some aspects of the project could damage our property and have adverse effect on a neighbor's property. The first item is the draft septic plan dated June 24th, 2025. In the draft septic plan, the following items are shown as specified. All the trees on the rear common property line have been shown as remaining, excluding one, attached and highlighted septic number 1. All the mature trees in the rear should remain, excluding one as shown. Septic plan dated June 24th, 2025 plan. 9-foot buffer between the face of the rear retaining wall and the rear common property line should be provided, allowing sufficient growing area and a planting buffer for the existing trees, and providing screening of the retaining wall for the abutter and the entire neighborhood. 9-foot boundary demarcation should be shown on the approved site plan, and 2 evergreen trees should be planted for mitigation for the removal of 1 proposed tree. Next, number 2, a construction detail of a retaining wall should be shown on the site plan, detailing if the wall is a poured concrete wall with a footing, wall size, or a prefabricated unilock wall of bin blocks. On the draft septic plan, the top of the wall is shown as elevation 10.6. This is attached and highlighted. The original drawing shows a significantly reduced concrete retention wall around the system and a 40 mil barrier being used around the septic field. The tank proposed was a low-profile tank by Shorey. Revised draft septic plan dated July 22nd, 2025, and the revised draft septic plan, the following items are shown or specified. The existing trees on the rear common property line are now being shown as to be removed. The existing trees on the rear common property line should remain, excluding one. A 9-foot buffer between the face of the rear retaining wall and the rear common property line should be provided, allowing sufficient growing area and a planting buffer for the existing trees, and some privacy screening for the neighbor from the 4-foot retaining wall. 9-foot boundary demarcation should be shown on the approved site plan. 2 additional evergreen trees should be planted for mitigation, one tree being removed. The retaining wall on the rear property line should be replaced so as not to damage the existing trees or the root system. The retaining wall on the left side should be replaced so it's no less than 6 feet from the common property line to the face of both retaining walls, with a no-dig zone placed in between the walls so as not to undermine the existing bin block wall. The area between the 2 walls should be filled with 3 feet of loam to stabilize the walls and allow the plants sufficient sunlight and a wildlife corridor. construction detail for the specified retaining wall should be shown on the submitted site plan, detailing that the wall is a poured concrete wall with a footing or prefabricated unilock wall or bin blocks. The top of the leach field baffles is shown at elevation 8.5, a 1-foot reduction from the previously draft septic plan dated June 24th, 2024. Respectfully, we'd like to request the Conservation Commission to condition the following items. Existing trees should remain except one as denoted on the draft septic drawing dated June 24th, 2025. In addition, call out a 9-foot buffer between the face of the rear retaining wall and the rear common property line, allowing sufficient growing area and a planting buffer for the existing trees. The 9-foot boundary demarcation should be shown on the approved blueprints. Number 2, a 6-foot buffer zone should be placed between the left retaining walls with the no-dig zone designation. The area between the two retaining walls should be filled with 3 feet of loam to stabilize the two walls and allow the plants some room to grow, sunlight, and a wildlife mitigation corridor. The 6-foot boundary demarcation should be shown on approved blueprints. A construction detail for the retaining wall should be placed on the blueprints, detailing if the wall is poured concrete or prefabricated unilock wall or bin blocks, type, height, footings, dimensions, etc. Next item, removal of all yard drains is shown on both the left boundary and the rear property line and specify no dig zone so as not to undermine the existing retaining walls or damage the existing trees. Condition that the top of wall be no greater than elevation 9.8 feet and the grade inside the proposed elevated septic area to be no greater than elevation 9.5 feet and be level with a plus or minus 2-inch pitch while retaining all stormwater inside the elevated system. In addition, a 12-inch wide by 3-foot deep, 3/4 gravel berm should be placed around the entire inside of the retaining wall with a 40 mil containment barrier being placed around the inside of the entire retaining wall. The elevated containment area should be level and retain all rainwater and stormwater. Next item, no dewatering be allowed without the necessary permit in an RDA. And the last item, a retaining wall should be placed so as not to damage the existing trees or the root system. Commissioners, thank you for your time and your attention to making all projects better for the environment, wildlife, and community at large. Sincerely, Paul Thurston. So the letter. So I see the Thurstons in the audience. Do you want to come up and comment on the conversation tonight?
Good evening, Paul Thurston, 19 Hollow. I'm with my wife Katie. Thank you. Really, again, we support the project. We support our neighbor 100% for this development. As you guys see fit, obviously, the biggest thing for us was drainage, water. Our property, 5 Beans, we have unstable soils there. They're gonna probably hit peat on this site. We hit peat, we ended up having to go helical piles. I knew the projects that you guys approved, which this gentleman had mentioned, at Kim's Path, the project's dead on arrival. They started digging, getting their foundation, and they hit peat, and the water's bubbling crude out here. So the whole site, as we did some geotechnical borings prior to doing the work, so we knew what we were up to. So when we did our design, we were quite evident. And the reason why we knew that was my neighbor behind me ended up going up on helical piles because he had hit the same issue at Pete. So I just confirmed what he was seeing, and I did the work there. So my biggest concern on the project was when I see these yard drains coming in. They were right next to my wall. They're going to wash out parts of my development. We talk about stormwater. When stormwater comes, where's it going into the yard drains? But there was just no details or submittals for what they were. They were dry well submittal, but that's not the yard drain. And then they specified on the yard drains, they'd be going to dry wells, but for the life of me, I couldn't figure where they would be going and to what capacity and what's the volume and where was the engineering on that. So again, it was for the protection of our property and the wall that we're really concerned. That was that left wall you hear me referencing. On the rear wall, again, it was just my neighbor. He looks at that, and, you know, I'm not going to say these, you know, whatever wall they may use, some are more beautiful than others. If it was a uni-lock modular wall, it might look better than a concrete wall. It was just a plain concrete face that could be 4 or 5 feet. Obviously, you know, one drawing, the first drawing on the septic system, I specified how it was top of wall 10.6, they're going 5.8. Well, they were going to, not only did they need the structural engineer to stamp that drawing, which we all know, they were going to obviously have to put fall after 4 feet with a fence around it too. So all depending where the final elevation is on top of wall is going to determine what's really coming next for us. So we would just, I guess we were looking for more specifics to what is the top of wall. I got 2 different plans I'm looking at, and then, you know, ultimately you have the last plan. So we're just trying to work within the boundaries. We don't have, when we first talked with them about their development, we're very excited. We didn't have a problem with them filling to our wall. Comments that we had specified was we just wanted their wall to come, rather than coming into our wall and stopping, we wanted it to come and stop, but have another wall in between, and then they fill that with sand or gravel. Thereby, if there is ever a problem with the wall, we're not trashing someone else's yard trying to get out our bin blocks at that same time. So it's just looking for more repair and maintenance at that time. So again, the issues that we had for us was drainage, undermining our potential wall, how we could stabilize it, and ultimately in the rear, aesthetics. You know, again, if the trees are removed, which are providing some screening now, you know, I'm looking at, you know, that left-hand corner, there's a couple of decent-sized trees there, but if the wall goes over 4 feet, they have to put up a fence. I think we're calling out 9.8 on this particular drawing, but we're at elevation 13 for AE zone now, right? So now the mechanicals are going to elevation 13, right? We've got to get out of the flood zone. So they're going to be going up elevated to that height as well. And now they're going to be towering right off the street there. So those are just really concerns, aesthetics to both all neighbors and any potential damage. And we're happy to work within the commission and certainly with Adam, their attorney, as well as with Cape and Islands, as always, to get a better development for the entire community and get it approved as we see fit. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Going back to commissioners, any other comments? Moving forward.
I'm curious to the driveway onto Shore Drive. Why that?
The homeowner requested it for the ability to bring groceries into the kitchen area. So it was a request from the homeowner.
Okay. Paul, do you have anything else?
No, I'm all set.
Okay. Sandy? Rich? I have one question, Andrew. What's the northern bayberry being proposed, planted along the, I guess it would be the south side? Well, what's the height of those when they go up?
What's the height of those?
Height, yeah.
Well, if you look it up, it says they can get to 9 feet, but typically in this kind of environment, they get to be about 6.
Okay, so that'll provide a buffer for that
It
wall.
will cover that wall, yeah.
Okay.
And one of the nicer things about using the smaller shrubs is that we can get them there's more of them, so it makes a pretty
We'll fill in.
rapid screening for the wall. If we go for something taller, then we start to get into things that need, we'd be separating them further apart, so it wouldn't really screen the wall so much, and then you're introducing a root hazard for the wall by having a trees. We can also screen on top of the wall in the planting bed, on top of the wall.
Okay. Great. So, sounds like that we need a continuance for more information. I think what we're looking for is the building plans and the pier foundation plan, details on the walls, a stronger waiver request. And have you guys done any soil borings out there to?
We have, as shown on the plan, actually both plans, we hit medium sand at 60 inches on one, and then we hit medium sand at 30 inches on the other. So test hole 1 and 2, which are in the backyard, which is closer to where we're putting the septic in. There's absolutely no problem. Post-secondary consolidation, I feel, I'm not a geotechnical engineer, but I am a PE, and I can tell you right now, I'd build a house on that sand. And
okay.
We dug down to 90 inches. We found no peat. To my knowledge, there's no history of peat in this area.
Okay. Yes, Andrew?
I just wanted to mention, too, on the landscape plan, the walls are clearly marked as being modular block walls, so there's no deep excavation for any kind of frost wall. It would be similar to what Mr. Thurston has for a wall, and we could even use the same block if necessary, but we didn't call out exactly which block.
Okay.
And it's under 4 feet high, so we don't need to have it structurally engineered.
Great, thank you. Anything else that we need, Jim?
No, that's the list I got.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys want to, what date would you like to continue this to?
Guys,
So the architect, actually.
so what are the available dates?
So November 13th is the next available one. That is 21 days from today. And then after that, it is December 11th.
Happy with either one. November 13th.
All right.
I don't know if I'll be able to be here in person, but I can make myself available virtually. Speak really loudly.
Okay. All right, do we have a motion to continue 5 Dean's Hollow Road to November 13th?
So moved.
Do we have a second? Okay, motion made second. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, roll call vote. Sarah?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Shauna?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
gentlemen.
you.
Good night.
All right. So next item, we have 4 COCs. First one is 9 Fur Court, Ocean and Alhora Trust, Caramian Realty Trust, proposed upland elevated stairway associated to a float dock in Santua Pond and tree removal, DP number 433210, and it passed inspection. So, everything look good on that one?
That was the Fur Court?
Yeah, Fur Court, yeah.
Nope, that passed. There was no problems there. That all looked good.
All right, do we have a motion to, for 9 Fur Court? Approve the CLC. Or do we-
Before I make a motion, Dan, just to confirm, sorry if I missed it. So all the specs here for the dock, everything's within range?
Yeah, all the specs were in range, and this one was a unique one because they had some very specific rock built
Right.
piles under the stairs, and they actually worked extremely well. And they're still
Fantastic.
maintaining, and there's no erosion around them.
Okay, so
So, yeah, everything was good.
no loss or damage to the marsh or BVW is, okay, awesome. I'll make a motion to approve the certificate of compliance for 9 Fir Court.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made, seconded. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, roll call vote. Sarah?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Shauna?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, next one is COC for 53 Greenwood Road, Brian and Elizabeth Rutana Trust, proposed site and septic upgrade, DP number 433296. Past inspection. Is this a septic system upgrade?
I had some questions on this one, actually. Is that okay? Mr. Chair? Go ahead.
sure.
Okay, I think,
Yeah.
I actually think this was a, wasn't this a raise and replace as well? This was
Yeah.
they built a house?
Yeah, this was
Yeah.
a full raise and replace.
So the COC is for the raise and replace, not just the septic?
Yeah, they're all under the same permit.
It's all under the same permit. Okay, and this was, the permit, the original permit was issued in July 2024, correct?
Yep.
So for any mitigation plantings, or I noticed there were some tree plantings, how do we know that they've survived? I mean, don't we have a boilerplate 2 or 3 year monitoring?
We don't have a boilerplate on when they can apply for the COC, just more of a recommendation. We do have the condition of the mitigation monitoring contract,
Okay.
which is still in effect.
Okay, and the plantings, I didn't get a chance to go out to this one.
The trees do look good, because the 2 trees in the front and everything, yeah. they
Okay,
do.
yeah, so as long as there are no qualms saying they're in compliance before we know if the plants are going to survive. Right?
Yep,
'Cause
yep,
they're-
if any of them don't survive in this case, because they're mostly trees, they will have to replace them in kind.
And that's carries on even after.
That carries on until the end of the mitigation phase, and then the monitoring and mitigation phase, and then from there, if there's any indication that they're taken out maliciously or removed without permission, basically, then there would be a compliance form for that to go through.
Malicious tree.
It is a thing, that's for certain, so.
Guy on the vineyard.
Yeah. Okay.
I have a question. It was reported to me by someone that they put in sod for the lawn area, and we required the mix of
Seeding.
seeding, yeah, clover. and-
Saw that too.
So I didn't 100% check the grass, but there is, we have been sending information to applicants and to people who got approved for sod micro clover.
Oh,
We
okay,
did
so
find a
there is such a
manufacturer
thing.
of that, that supplies it, so that could be the case. And within our regulations, you are allowed to install sod as long as you only do 4 inches of topsoil underneath.
Okay.
It can't be 6 inches, so yes, we have been sending it out to people because they've been asking that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, do you have a motion for 53 Greenwood Road?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the certificate of compliance for 53 Greenwood Road.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Okay, motion made, second. Okay, any discussion? And then roll call vote. Sarah?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Shauna?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Rich? Yes. And I vote yes. Okay, next item, COC for 111 Waterline Drive South, Joseph and Nancy Siniglia, the 111 Waterline Realty Trust, proposed timber pier, gangway and float, DP number 43981. So do we have any questions on this one?
This was an old one.
Some questions
I
on this
will
one
say
too.
What's this,
that.
1942 or something?
Yes. No, this was
95.
90, I was going to say 94, 95, was it?
95,
Yeah. So I consulted with the representative prior to this being applied. There was some vista pruning on the permit, and there was a dock permit as well. So the whole dock and everything was installed to compliance. There was no vista pruning conducted on this property. Going out to the property, you can tell they have never even touched the vegetation. It's very lush. So that was not a concern, and that's why the COC passed, was because the dock was in compliance and the vista pruning permit. Whether it was conducted when they first got it in 95, it has not been conducted in the past 10 years at least.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, I had some questions on this one, and I don't know what the compliance standards were in 1995, but this was a really interesting packet because the as-built is dated from 2022, So I don't know if there are any changes, but the order of conditions states that the commission has to be notified in writing before any new boat is moored at the dock, and we have to approve as to the size, draft, and depth from water line to the bottom of the propulsion unit, and all the aerials had 2 boats at the dock.
Yes, I don't know how their permit was for the conditions of perpetuity back then.
Okay.
I don't believe that was a condition in the original permit for the dock installation. I
And
don't believe it was.
The public access, the 5-foot clearance for public access, that was also in the order of conditions? Has that been maintained? Or?
That was in the order of conditions. That's being maintained because the dock just hasn't changed at all.
Okay.
At all. It's that way, the same way it is there, so, yeah.
Okay. Okay, fair enough.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, do we have a motion for this, for 111 Waterline Drive South?
I'll make a motion to approve the certificate of compliance at 111 Waterline
This
Drive
was an
South.
interesting meeting.
Okay, we have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made second. Roll call vote. Sarah?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Shauna?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
I vote yes.
The sale.
Okay, next one, 174 Lowell Road, Unit 51, Jamie Pacheco, Hacoy Bay Aquaculture, U.S. Army, NAE-2024-00134, pass inspection.
Yes. So this was an aquaculture farm that was approved 2023, I want to say, right off of Concert Point. And everything looks good. Now, we have not been able to get out there in person, but we're checking all the current aerials from the GIS that we have, as well as with Google's GIS, which are all from 2025. All the cages are in line with his permit application. And even in one of them, you can see him accessing it with the boat to check it. So this one cleared up. Yeah, all good there.
Any indication why the certificate of compliance is being requested? I know in general it's because we're clearing a deed for a house. But
So what this was this is a condo unit, and he is moving to a house, I believe. So
this is tied to his home?
Yeah, so when you have a permit, you have to tie it to an address. And since this
Right.
is an aquaculture farm, the only possible address was his individual home.
I see.
So that's what that's what it was tied to. Otherwise, the DEP will not let a permit be processed.
So he's-
It was tied to his condo unit here in town, and now he's just selling that and moving to somewhere else, staying in town.
But the aquaculture operation is going to
Aquaculture
remain
is
in
going
place.
to continue.
And I saw the Army Corps of Engineer permit expires in 2028, so I just wanted to make sure that us issuing a certificate of compliance is not going to
For
prevent
us,
him
that's
from-
not an issue at all. He's going to have to go through that with the Shellfish Constable at that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Great. Okay, so we have a motion for 174 Lowell Road.
Make a motion to approve COC at 174 Lowell Road, unit number 51.
Okay, great, thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made second. Roll call vote. Sarah?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Shauna?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
I vote yes. Okay, going back to the pre- and post-hearing agenda, we have 2 draft minutes. First one is from August 21st. It'd be myself, Sarah, Rich, Sandy, Shauna, and Paul. Neil's on it, but he's not here, so. So this is draft minutes from August 21st. Okay, any changes, questions, comments on that?
A couple of changes.
Okay.
Under the 157 Daniels Island, on the 3rd paragraph, it should be changed from 3-floor decking to through-flow decking.
Okay.
Okay.
And under 41 Secaucet Island Road, under hearing continuance consideration, 2nd paragraph, 1st sentence, should be 41 Secaucet Island instead of 2nd Island. That's it.
Okay. All right, any other comments? No? No? Okay, seeing none, do we have a motion to approve the minutes of August 21st? Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made second. Okay, roll call vote. Sarah?
Yes.
Paul?
I'm going to abstain because I did not have a chance to read them.
Okay. Shauna?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay. Next draft minutes are from October 9th, 2025. Myself, Sarah, Rich, Sandy, and Shauna can vote on it. You're off on this one, Paul. Get reprieve, since you are traveling. Okay, do we have any changes or comments on the October 9th minutes?
See any?
You haven't seen them?
I didn't,
You didn't
I
read them?
didn't see any changes.
See any changes, okay. All right, everybody else is good with those? Okay, they're pretty clean, they look good. Okay, all right, so we have a motion to accept the minutes of October 9th.
So moved.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made second. Roll call vote, Sarah?
Yes.
Shauna?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, going down to discussion, we have water quality. Anything we need to talk about with water quality at all?
Nope, we've had a lot of rain, and the herring are pouring out of the ponds because
Are
of
they?
it.
They're
Yes,
escaping.
thousands of them.
Great.
Yeah.
It's not the Childs River, though.
No, not the Childs River. Every river but Quashnet River right now. That pond is still a little low, even with all the rain. That's all.
Okay.
What a relief, huh, for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
5 inches of rain really helps.
For a while.
I got this right here. This was on the
Oh,
13th
cool.
of this month.
Look at that.
Those little
That's
babies.
just one step.
We're out of here.
Yeah, oh, they're gone. And there was, in each step, there was about 3 to 5 juveniles, so a good, 8-inch herrings in each step, which is pretty typical.
Is that down at the tribe, the
Oh,
fishery?
yeah.
Cool.
Best spot to see them. It really
Yeah,
is.
that's a great spot.
Nice.
I'm sending you this first batch.
Yeah,
Okay.
quick question, if that didn't happen and they had to winter over in the pond, what's the mortality situation, something like
The
that?
mortality, I'm not too sure about, especially on the fry, because they don't really track them until they get to a bigger size in the ocean.
Yeah.
So I'm not too sure, but it is not uncommon for that to happen, for them to overwinter in the ponds.
Yeah.
And then once the rain level gets appropriate in the springtime, or maybe late winter perhaps, for them to all flush down then. It's not uncommon, so that we're expecting, quite frankly, with Quashnet River over at Johns Pond. We are expecting that to occur, but for the mortality, I'm just not 100%.
Yeah, there's no real data on overwintering mortality, Paul.
Yeah.
I would imagine there is some mortality that happens, but for the most part, they're able to out-migrate, once the flow is reestablished.
Yeah. Just curious.
Sure.
Be a good project.
Okay.
On 157 Daniels.
Oh, yes. Yep, thank you.
Okay. Next item is Commissioner status, full-time associate member. So Alex Zolo sent in a letter requesting to resign from her role as a at-large member of the commission and be reclassified as associate member. So we need to vote on this in the
And I will be notifying them in the morning.
town manager's office. She sent me an email saying she needs it first thing Friday morning.
She was very direct about that.
Okay, so you'll take care of that? Okay, great. Thank you, so.
Wow.
So that's her request, so we just need to vote on it. Do we need to make a motion on that too? We need to make a motion? and
Yes, a
second?
Take a formal
full
vote.
motion, vote
Full
please.
motion, okay.
Do we need to discuss this? I think her experience and knowledge is unmatched on this commission, and if we can keep her on deck as an associate member, I think we should do it.
Oh, yeah, no, she's.
No
she's-
question.
She knows she
Well,
has to
tons of
come to
experience, yeah, she's,
50% of the meetings, right, for the associate?
If she hasn't been made aware, I will definitely just mention that to her. Yeah, not a
There's
problem.
no sense, she's not going to come.
Well, I also do think that we, have the option, if we retain her as an associate member, to reach out to her when we have projects that would benefit from her knowledge and
Right,
expertise.
but she's still, I mean,
Sure.
when I was associate member, that was, I had to show up regardless of whether
Sure.
I had the knowledge or not, just to.
Yeah, I've never seen that, I've only been here a year and a half, but I've never seen that imposed on anybody, so I don't know why we
It was
would.
in writing when I got it.
It's board discretion at that point.
Sure.
okay. And her letter was dated September 4th, so everybody knows that.
Been in for a while, yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion to accept Alex Zolo's resignation from an at-large member and be reclassified as an associate member.
So moved.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made, second. Do roll call vote, Sarah?
Yes.
Paul?
Sad, but yes.
Yep. Okay, Shauna?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
And I vote yes. I know Alex did a great job as a full-time member and great expertise.
Follow-up question.
Yep.
So that would leave us as 6 full-time commissioners. is Neil open to move up to full-time, or if not?
That was
he
gonna be-
wants to remains as associate, we stay as 6 until somebody else applies, is that?
Is he
Yeah,
interested?
we mentioned to Neil, and at this point, he said he wouldn't be able to step up to be a full-time member.
Yeah, I know
Due to
he wasn't
business
interested
constraints
when-
and personal constraints, yeah.
Yeah, the other opening, he defaulted right away to you, he didn't want to do it.
So we will be in search of a full-time member.
So do we post this? Because I know all the open board and commission seats were posted, but I think it's dated from like May or,
I'm not too sure. Let me check with the town clerk in the morning. I'll
Okay.
check on that.
Do we have to have another?
I'd prefer it, whether we have to or not.
I mean, it gives you an uneven number, which means you never get deadlocked,
Yeah.
but,
Right.
When it comes to quorums, I would love to have as many members as possible, just because I know how the summers get especially. So, yeah.
So then we,
The town usually posts periodically updates on, vacancies on committees and commissions,
right?
and also through their Facebook page as well. So that's always an ongoing process.
so we would be we'd be looking for a full-time position and 2 associates, correct?
That's correct.
2 associates.
Okay.
2 associates.
So if we have Alex and Neil as associates, would we not just have one
and
more
isn't
associate?
Marjorie
No, we have
also an
4.
associate? member?
Oh,
Marjorie
that's
did
right.
ask
I'm
to be
sorry.
Marjorie's
Correct,
an
so one more
associate.
associate.
So
I'm
it's
sorry.
1 and 1.
Yeah,
So we have
Yeah,
4
yeah.
associates and 7?
We do 4 associates and 7 full-time.
Yeah.
Okay,
So we're at 1 and 1.
Yeah, 1 and 1.
Okay.
Yes.
People ask,
okay,
Good to know.
great to know.
Okay, and anything on the updates you guys want to talk about? Anything pressing, or do you want to push it off to the?
Not really until the
I was
quarterly.
gonna hold off to the quarterly meeting for that,
Okay,
but I did want to update that I am going to reach out to town manager regarding the subcommittee. He's just been very busy with town meeting, obviously, and hasn't had time to meet, but I do plan on reaching out to him next week, so I can have an update on that before the quarterly.
okay. Sounds good, Drew, thank you. Going down, communication correspondence, additional topics, I have one topic, it's more for you, Drew and Dan, is, I know we spoke about 210 Waterway, the Stoyer project, and they kept saying, oh, we're gonna come up with plans and site plan, because they did that illegal tree cutting, I believe it was a year ago, or at least 9 months ago. So, at this point, do we say, do we vote on, starting some fines for that to move them along?
Yeah, you certainly can. The last correspondence I have was that a notice of intent was forthcoming, but I haven't heard anything since then, so, I have no problem, issuing fines at this point, or, maybe one more reach out to see where they're at, to let them know that the commission is going to start fining daily. That was made known to them previously, just to get something, submitted sooner than later.
Right.
But, whatever you guys decide, we'll follow up.
Okay, do we need to advertise that first and put it on the next agenda? To vote, to do a vote on that? If you reach out to them and, you don't get an answer back, or you get an answer back saying, oh, we're still 2 or 3 months out, or whatever, do we bring that up as an agenda item and have a motion?
Yeah, I would recommend that, yeah.
All right.
What was the address, Steve?
210 Waterway, I think it is. Is it 210 or maybe 226?
Pull it up right now.
I was out there the other day. I had seen it previously during the winter and in spring, and I was out there the other day, and it came back to mind that, last time Drew and I talked, it was well over a month ago, Drew, I think. They said they're still working on something.
Yeah, 126 Waterway. There was quite the illegal cutting out there in the backyard with a whole backstory that has nothing to do with conservation staff nor the commission.
Yeah.
So he's been notified that he has to submit a notice of intent because he wants to do a raise and replace of his home. So he's been notified, get that notice of intent in to have that done as well as compliance with the whole violation and the landscape plan and the whole 9 yards.
I did hear from his attorney, who did say that they were working on a notice of intent and submitting it, but that was almost 2 weeks ago, so I think it's worth following up again and, instituting daily fines to get that, notice of intent submitted sooner than later.
Okay. Yeah.
Does the notice of intent mitigate the bad act?
He's going to have to re-landscape his entire yard as well as restore sections of the salt marsh in this case as well. So there's a lot that goes into it for that. And since he wanted to raise and replace his house, we kind of took it as, let's get, a flood compliant foundation and a lot of other benefits other than just a violation, is the hopes that we were looking for. And it's been stonewalled.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, it's been at least 9 months, if not more, to 12 months. And the whole backyard was clear, all the way down to the creek, Papaneset Creek. So it was a lot of large trees, all vegetation removed.
Oh, yeah. He hasn't, he did not mess up. He had a violation, and he's just, I don't know if he's dragging his feet or they're just being very in-depth in the drafting of the plans. I don't know, but I think Drew will definitely follow up, on that.
So, okay. All right, anything else? No? Okay. Thanks for,
When's coming up?
yeah.
Spooky.
Yeah.
Spooky stuff.
Trying to do a pumpkin ball?
Yeah.
Like a hurricane.
Well, thanks for everything tonight. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, do we have a second? Okay, motion made, second. Roll call vote. Sarah?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Shauna?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Great. Thank you, everybody. Good job. Thanks, Drew. Thanks, Dan.